We're live on the podcast broadcast stream. Yes, 2 hours, 2 full hours. Got Powers, Weirdo. Valdez will be popping in. Herb Stratford will be joining us. We have tons of stuff to load up for today, plus clips that I didn't get to from earlier this week. So it'll be good. It'll be good. And actually, we're going to do a weekend rundown here with Powers on radio in about 45 seconds. So that's how we're going to start things off. And of course, you got through and put together a list. And this is the first weekend that Powers has not done a events. Like 7 weekends in a row was streaking as far as the events. It was very impressive, collecting that side hustle money, but also very busy. So I'm glad that you have a day off.
Yeah, nice.
an actual day off.
Yeah, because I still do have one small thing on Easter.
Yeah.
But it's small and it's fun Easter egg hunt for kids.
Yeah, exactly. Which will be fun. And at the Monica, they take care of you.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we got Chef Gary's The Good, the Bad, the Salsa that we're going to debut during the podcast broadcast stream today as well.
Nice.
Not the whole thing. It's a long conversation, but it was another good one. So let's get right into this. Rock 1 2.1 KFMA. Welcome back to Beef Vegan Presents. This weekend, people complain that there's never anything to do in Tucson. In fact, Tucson Foodie with their new video series makes this a running joke. But we know that there's always events, especially in spring. And here to give us a rundown of all the things that are happening around town this weekend is our good buddy Powers. Powers, what do we have happening in Tucson this weekend?
We got a lot of fun stuff. Let's start with, I believe today, we got Pop Evil's Skeletons Tour is going to be at the Rialto Theater.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Like, son of a bitch. And I got to release some clips from our conversation with Lee Kakati because he was great to talk with.
You were telling me about that. I would talk about that a lot.
Yeah, he hung out on the podcast broadcast for the entire hour. I thought it was inspiring for any musicians that are trying to make it to the next level because he's a hustler. And of course, with Pop Evil, tons of songs in their catalog that have made it to radio. And our single song takeover today for Lee will definitely be a Pop Evil song.
There you go.
So yeah, there's still tickets available for that, huh?
As far as I know, there are. And again, Tucson's a walk-up town, so there might be some stuff at the door. Go check it out.
Yeah.
That shows, doors are at 6:30, shows at 7:30.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, so we got that rock show covered. What else going on? Is there anything going tonight?
That is tonight, I believe.
Yeah, anything else going on tonight?
I don't have anything else for tonight so far on my list. But
yeah, besides Roadrunner games, Pop Evil, that's it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Honestly. All right, what else going on?
It's second Saturday already. So go out tomorrow, enjoy the day. Lots of fun stuff downtown on Congress Street. Lots of local free concerts, live music vendors. Just walk around on a second Saturday. And then you've got 191 Tool. Why, that's Local Love. So Local Love is back, right?
Yeah, shout out to Brent. Okay.
Yeah. Lost Republic, the Dust Folk, who I enjoyed hosting them at the steampunk convention that I was doing a little while ago.
So what's their style of music?
Dust Folk, they're really cool. They're like, kind of chill and I'd say folky. Works pretty well.
It's like folk punk.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit laid back, right?
I dig that.
Midnight Island, something like appropriate. They're a good band. And Method to the Madness. So we know them.
Yeah.
Yep. So good to see our friends there.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great bill. Brent does good work with Local Love, putting everything out there. So absolutely, if you want to rock local, Saturday night, going to be at 191 Tool. Yep. Is that also The Rock? Do you have The Rock covered as well?
I didn't see anything at The Rock. Do you know something's going on at The Rock?
I think As the World Burns with Jonathan Russell and our good friend 10. Nice. They're going to be performing at The Rock. I believe that's tomorrow night, but you got to follow them on their social media page on Instagram to double check. I got a text message from Jonathan Russell this morning saying, "Hey, my man, I heard that you're spreading awareness of the show, but I think you got the date wrong." And I'm like, "That's so me." I felt like yesterday was a Friday, so I think I said tomorrow, but I mean Saturday.
Right.
So I'll repost on my social media if you're too lazy to like them. All right. What else going on?
One last thing, honestly, after that show, why don't you go get to a 90s/2000s dance party at the Royal Room?
Ooh.
So the Royal Room's a fun place. If you never checked it out, over there on Stone. And from 9 to 1:30, they're having a fun dance party. It's 90s theme. Get those Jenkos on. It's 2000s theme. So I don't know, frost your tips,
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Did you ever frost your tips? Because I was that guy.
No, I dyed my hair green. So I was that guy.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I did. One of my best Rocky Point spring break adventures was with frosted tips. I was definitely best looking beef at that point. I was probably like 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't judge me.
Puka shell necklace.
You know it.
Did you have a goatee?
Yes, I had it all. I was a classic
And backwards cap.
2000 douche. I wasn't even wearing a cap. I was just showing off the tips, bro, and that was enough. That was the year that a woman at a bar, a girl, I should say, came up to me, and while I was at the bar, I ordered a drink, and she looks at me and she goes, "Your voice is golden."
Ooh.
Yeah, in front of my buddy Joe, and he was like, and she was gonna jump all over me, but then I got C-blocked by my friend Tony because she needed to be walked home and whatever. But
Rude.
memories. That's the rundown of what's happening this weekend. We're live on the podcast broadcast. Film critic Herb Stratford just texted me. He is here, so we're gonna do our weekend rundown of all the things that are coming to theaters and your streaming services with Herb Stratford this hour as well. So keep it right here. It's Rock 102.1. Clear. All right. How about can you grab Herb Powers?
You got it.
Get him all situated. And while he's getting situated, I think this is a good time to get into part one of the good, the bad, the salsa. Rico put this together as we met with Chef Gary just the other day, and he cranks this shit out. Oh, yeah. Let's see.
I know. I texted you because I was almost hungry.
Oops, hold on. I'm gonna pull this up here. Give me a second. Hey, good morning, Herb. How you doing? Good to see you. I'm going to let you get all situated as I'm playing this good also with Chef Gary that we did. So I want to share.
Thank you.
Oh. And we have a lot. So the podcast today in the 9 o'clock hour is 100% just Herb and I and Drew Angelman, as we're going to be talking challenge. That's why we went 2 hours today, because we're going to give you a lot to work with, but also this podcast today is for Herb and I. Rock 102.1, who's this?
Yeah, I heard you guys playing Stocking Up Pop Evil.
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
play Legendary?
For the single song takeover later?
Yeah, no, that would be a freaking great song right now. I'm driving home.
I can't play it right now. I gotta play it in the 9 o'clock hour, but yeah, I think.
Oh, yeah, I'll be home. But yeah, you can play that one. I'll be listening, washing dishes. Damn it.
Well, someone's got to do it. But yeah, I'll definitely see if I can put that on for you. Find it in my system. It's an excellent suggestion. Thanks, brother. What's your name?
David.
David. All right, David. I'm writing it down, and hopefully we'll get that going for you here soon.
Are you guys doing Incubus tickets still?
Yes, that's coming up here soon as well. So get ready to call back in, because we're going to play a little game this hour. So that is happening this hour.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm driving home, so I'll be listening.
Right on. All right. We'll talk to you soon, David. All right. Peace. You're going to steal what? Well, anyways, while we're getting situated, here is part one of the good, the bad, the salsa. Check this out.
Egan's asshole today. We're going to kick off with our salsa verde. Very, very traditional green salsa, tomatillos, a little bit of green onion, cilantro, a little bit of lime juice. Very simple, very mild. Then we got our pickled taqueria salsa. So basically the same base, but we take pickled vegetables like you find at a taqueria and blend those down in there. This is our salsa picante. This is the original El Charro salsa. The spice levels come from chiltepin. This is going to be our black magic right here. This is our seafood salsa. Probably 10 different chilies, soy sauce, Maggi, all that good stuff in there. Flavor bomb right there. This is our house salsa. Salsa rustico, salsa quemada, oven roasted, grilled vegetables, chiltepin, jalapenos, Anaheims, onions, all that good stuff in there. This is our Vita salsa. This is going to be our habanero turmeric, fresh habaneros, turmeric, a little bit of vinegar. Absolutely amazing. And this right here, this is my baby. This is our salsa padre. So we use our salsa rustico base, and then we spice it up with chiltepins, a little bit of pico de gallo, jalapenos, and a little secret ingredient, which I can't tell you.
Welcome back to another edition of the good, the bad, the salsa. My guest, good friend of the show, is Chef Gary Hickey. We're at
beef.
We're at the El Charro steak, right?
Steakhouse. Today's actually our 7th birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, the April 5th is the 7th anniversary of this? I do remember when this opened up.
Yep.
What was the initial idea? Because it's Flores Family Concepts, right? There's
Right.
several Charro properties. But what was the initial idea going into Charro steak?
So when we actually took over this property, we didn't have anything in mind for it. And then in searching, Ray found that there was a El Charro up in Casa Grande that was an offshoot of the original Tia Monica's. It was one of her cousins.
Yeah.
And they had steak on the menu. Me being a butcher by trade, Hey, let's open up a Mexican steakhouse. So we kind of opened up a very traditional steakhouse, but everything we did, we put a little Charro twist on it. So we grill all of our meats on mesquite, all grass-fed steaks, just how they were back in the 1900s, and all that stuff. So, and it's just been a wild ride, and thank Tucson very much for loving us and keeping us going.
Well, yeah, this was actually one of the center points for during pandemic. One of the first restaurants here locally that was just providing meals to people just to pick up and buy, just basically wholesale,
right,
to kind of keep revenue going in. And now it's also Del Rey, so you expanded it to be steak and seafood.
Steak and seafood.
I mean, on the front window it says lobster and carne asada.
Yep.
Which is
Can't get any better than that.
No, you can't. So, okay, we got, what's it look like?
We got a ton of salsas here.
Yeah, is that 6 total? 7?
I think it's 7.
Okay, lucky number 7.
7th anniversary, 7 salsas.
That makes sense.
7 little chipmunks sitting on a ranch.
Did you just make all these today in-house?
No. The longer they sit, the more flavor they're going to have. They'll be more well-rounded. So these got a couple days on them.
What's the average that you like to have your salsa sit for before you serve them?
If it's not being fermented, I like to go at least 72 hours.
Okay.
Let those flavors meld, kind of marry and wish-wash around in there. So.
Nice. All right, well, here's the concept. We're gonna go salsa by salsa. I'm gonna ask you different questions, not necessarily about the salsa, a little bit about the salsa. Rock 102.1 KFMA. Welcome back to Beef Vegan Presents. Please welcome in studio a very special guest, Mr. Herb Stratford. Good morning, Herb.
Good morning.
We have a lot of things that we're going to be covering here for the next 2 hours. Of course, I know that a lot of you guys out there listening for the Incubus tickets will give you that opportunity here in 20 minutes. But we want to talk movie reviews. And the movie that we shared with our KFMA audience this last week was a sneak preview of Air, which both Weirdo and you, Herb, got to watch in its entirety. I did not even see the opening credits. I was in the parking lot when that rolled out.
Right, which is a shame because they opened it up with this whole like pop culture reference for 1984 and included the Wendy's ad, "Where's the beef?"
Yes.
And people started laughing because you weren't there. We had just been chanting, "Where's the beef? Where's the beef?"
Wow.
And you were gone.
Yeah, I was gone. I did this. I took it as an opportunity to get some extra sleep. I saw that there was limited seats. There was no seats available. I didn't want to be the a-hole to kick a winner out of the seats like Herb would. And I was just like, okay, I'll watch this when I watch this. And then I was gone. And again, also, Herb and I introduced the movie, but there was chaos and there were some people that weren't happy about it. And essentially, I didn't want them to think it was all my fault. And if they did think it was my fault, well, they could complain to somebody else because I was gone.
That's so funny. What happened?
It was oversubscribed. Let's just say that. This was a new management company that's doing these screenings out of Phoenix.
Yeah.
And normally they sort of are very organized in terms of who they've told can come, and then they have a list that's alphabetized, and you know what I mean. And then they organize people. They let people in it, in certain clumps. Total new group. The list was totally like, A next to Z. I mean, it was madness.
Wow.
And people were really rude and nasty. And this is one of the first sort of public screenings that we've done. We used to do these all the time. And people were just like, their patience was just like razor thin. And so, I mean, the woman who I've known for years who does these screenings, I'm not going to say her name or anything in person, but she was like visibly shaken by how rude people were to her, which was just not cool.
And
cool
she
at
was
all.
really sweet too.
Oh, absolutely.
And she was just trying to do her best. And there was one lady that stormed out claiming she was with the press, and I was like, "Oh, why aren't you on Media Row?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're
and all the people I'm with are,
Well, and honestly, like media, like we're told you have to be, you have a seat, but you only have a seat till X, and then we give it away. So, you have no excuse to not do it. So I felt bad for her because she's a sweet woman. She doesn't get paid a lot of money, and she gets, yelled at by people. No, thank you.
Oh, you're just a full-blown doxter. I'm sure she gets paid fine.
Yeah, people get really entitled, I think, with seats and ticketing, like at the airport.
Yeah.
They get very entitled and defensive and territorial.
Yeah. I did say to her, and I kind of muttered it when she was like, "I'm with the press, and I'm going to write something bad." And I'm like, "Well, I'm with the press. I'm going to write something good." So kind of balance it out. But you guys got to stay and watch the movie. and Weirdo enjoyed it. What were your thoughts on the movie Air, directed by Ben Affleck?
I liked it. I got to tell you, I'm not, as you know well, I'm listeners of the show know I'm no fan of Ben Affleck.
Right.
And so I prefer when he directs and not is on camera with his, big ugly face. So I actually
shots fired.
I was actually impressed. I liked it. I thought it was funny. I loved Weirdo, as you mentioned. I loved the pop culture references. I loved just the setting of the tone, and it just brought me all back to that time, of like when everything was, even just like the Rubik's Cube on the desk or whatever. It was just like it was cool little bits.
Right,
He did a great job. The soundtrack was amazing.
1984. Yes, I remember.
The soundtrack was amazing. They spent serious money on the music.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I knew going into this, that one, Ben Affleck is a great director.
Yeah.
He's won Oscars for it. It is underappreciated because of his on-screen presence and his life, and banging Jennifer Lopez. A lot of jealousy there. I hated him as Batman, obviously, and several other movies. But as a director, he's really good. And also, Matt Damon being in this movie was a testament that it was going to be good, because Matt Damon's a good enough friend to say no to his best friend saying, hey, will you do this movie if he thinks it sucks? If he thinks it's going to suck, Matt Damon's not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he let him be, he had to be Sonny Vaccaro. He had to be like sort of this middle-aged, overweight schlub, right? I mean, he had to trust Affleck to, not make him look goofy, and he doesn't. He comes off as authentic, and I love the fact that they barely showed Jordan, because it's not about Jordan, it's about the people around Jordan.
Right.
Jordan's mom, Viola Davis, is great. Totally worth seeing if you have any interest in just in the world of and I mean, even if you're not interested in shoes, it's super cool to see how they were all battling and what they were after and the money they're throwing at things. And then the postscript, I don't know about you, Weirdo, but those,
oh my gosh,
those numbers, I mean, just staggering when you look at what kind of money, and then you think about today, with Ye and whatever, and how much billions of dollars in shoes are sitting in a warehouse that can't be sold. It all sort of makes sense. It all connects.
Oh
yeah. And the dialogue, especially a lot of the exchanges between like Sonny and Michael Jordan's manager, gold.
Yeah.
They were hilarious. They were so good.
There you go. So that's the takeaway. Everyone believes that this movie Air is really good. If you're going to see the movie for Michael Jordan, don't do that. You can watch The Last Dance. It'll tell you a little bit about that story anyways, but then you get the 100% backstory with all the comedy in the movie Air, which is in theaters right now. We're going to hit the reset, be back with ticket giveaways, more reviews with Herb Stratford, and everything else. But we're keeping the conversation moving on the podcast broadcast, where you'll see our debut episode of The Good, the Bad, the Salsa with Chef Gary Hickey from El Charro as well. YouTube.com/beefvegan. Clear. All right. So excellent review there. And I'm going to get ready for the giveaways and games that we're going to do. Which, I got 3 of you here, so we get to incorporate this.
We all know that, though, if you really want to get the story of Michael Jordan, there's all that. It's Space Jam 1. That's the true
Well, that's
story.
more of a documentary.
Yeah, very much. Taking care of the 90s real good.
Yeah,
shaking my head on that.
I didn't say Space Jam 2.
No,
no one did.
No
one did.
In Space Jam 2.
So ridiculous.
I know.
The face of disappointment while Beavis trying to smile at the same time.
No, damn Space Jam. He did play basketball too against humans. You should have checked that out. It was a fantastic time.
Really?
Yeah, he even moonlighted as a baseball player too. You should check it out. It's on the internet.
I saw that in Space Jam.
It wasn't Space Jam. God damn it. All right. Well, let's continue the conversation with Chef Gary. I got to get ready for this game, podcast broadcast, 2 hours long today. More with Herb and everything else. We're going to have a good time today. That's for sure. But this was me getting my butthole singed in real time. I'm going to try not to drink water throughout this entire one.
Okay.
And let's start off with the most mild, the Verde that you got down here.
Salsa Verde.
Okay. And then you have 2 versions of this.
Yeah.
And you got pork rind, in-house pork rind?
Yep. In-house chicharrones.
Chicharrones, yes. Is that just Spanish for pork rind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah. You going to try this too? Or
yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this one's going to be very mild.
And is this jalapeno based? No.
Tomatillo.
Mm-hmm.
Tomatillo, green onions, garlic, lime juice, cilantro.
Mm-hmm. Right off the bat, the lime jumps right out.
Yep.
Got a little kick, and then the onion too. It's a good onion flavor, which I like big chunks of onion.
Yeah.
And my Verde was really good. Now, what started you? How did you start in the culinary world, right? Because you're a chef now, but everyone starts somewhere. Did you start at school?
I did not. I actually, there was this old Greek restaurant on University called Marathon. And it was like a Greek mafioso front. Like there was never anybody in there.
Yeah.
I got a job in there working under the table when I was like 15, washing dishes, and they'd send me home with euro and hummus, just like whatever. It was just a total mafioso. They were laundering so much money through that place. And from there, I got a job at this Tucson staple of restaurants called Keaton's in the Foothills. It was there forever, and that's kind of where I started finding that like you can manipulate food, and food was more than just like sustenance.
Yeah. So you went for your way from the dishwasher to what, sous chef? And
I was a line cook for years. Prep cook, line cook. I guess my big break was I was a prep cook, and the saute brunch cook got arrested the night before Sunday brunch, and my kitchen manager was like, "Hey, you know how to cook eggs?" And I lied. I was like, "Yeah, man, let's do it. Like, whatever." I got my ass handed to me on Sunday brunch up there. I mean, we do 500 covers easy. Like, I just got worked. It was terrible. It was the worst thing ever. But then I was like, oh, I want to be a saute cook. So then that's all I did was like start working saute, and I just got my skills up with saute, and then moved to the broiler, and then grill cook, and then just started anything anybody could like teach me. I was like, oh, how do you do that? How do you break down salmon? Let me do that. How do you make this bread? Let's make this bread together. Oh, let me break down this tenderloin for you. You know, there's just trial and error, and finally you get to the point where you're like, oh, come here, let me show you how to do this. So
nice.
That's kind of how it is.
It's just a passion for learning.
Yeah.
What's the most difficult egg to make as starting off as a sous chef, right? Is it like the over easy egg? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the over easy egg or a French omelet, I mean, is impossible. If you've never made one before,
no, I haven't.
It's impossible.
I remember working at a diner, and it was one of those 24-hour diners, and I'm in the back doing graveyard cooking, and a girl ordered these over easy eggs, and for whatever reason, I'm trying to do it so delicately, and she's watching me, so I was even nervous. So I mean, it's as simple as eggs sound to make eggs on order to somebody at a restaurant.
Impossible.
It's a whole nother beast.
Especially if you've never done it before. Like you're just like totally like making up a story. Like, I've cooked eggs forever.
yeah. Well, because you would assume like, I made scrambled eggs. I can do eggs.
Scrambled eggs. No, let's do it.
Right. All right. I do want to try another bite of this, but I'm going to move this aside. Let's move on to the next one because I want to move into the next question. So this looks like a verde as well. But
this is a verde. So this is going to be our salsa verde base. But this is our taqueria salsa. So like if you go to like a taqueria in town, they have like pickled onions, pickled jalapenos, pickled carrots, all that stuff. That's like at the salsa bar, all that pickled stuff. Yeah. What we do is we pickle all those vegetables and then we blend them into the salsa verde.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's got kind of a little bit more like vinegar taste. Really good with like carne asada tacos or anything like that. It's going to just cut through the fat.
Right. Especially if people go and get carne asada tacos and load up their tacos with all the pickled vegetables that they have at the salsa bar.
So this is kind of a little shortcut.
Nice. Yeah, and even vinegar kind of makes it like a little sweeter too. Yeah.
It definitely pulls out the sweetness of the carrots.
Right. Nice. Yeah, both of your verdes are like out of this world. I gotta do another bite real quick.
Do it.
Yeah. Which leads me to this question has nothing to do with verdes, but you've been working kitchens your whole life. How many different styles of foods, like restaurants? Because now you're El Charro, Charro is, obviously Sonoran based. But I know that you mentioned the Greek restaurant.
Right.
Didn't you work at like P.F. Chang's for a little bit?
I worked at P.F. Chang's for a long time, yeah.
So all the different like genres of food, how many different genres?
I think the only thing I really haven't ever really like delved really deep into is probably Italian or barbecue. I mean, I've done everything else: American, French, Chinese. I guess Japanese. I haven't done sushi.
Okay.
So those three.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sushi's actually not that hard. You roll kind of like a big blunt.
I'm sure those guys that train for like 30 years would disagree with you. Like they don't get to touch rice for like the first 5 years they work in a sushi restaurant.
If you're that expert, but I know a lot of American stoners who became excellent sushi rollers. So they were kind of like a duck to water in that way. They're like, oh, I've been doing this since high school.
That's actually my my wife's brother worked at Mr. On's, and he was a sushi apprentice for years. And then when he finally made it to the line.
So they took it that seriously. Where
yeah.
So he had to do a bunch of different things.
But he was rolling blunts his whole life, so
right, yeah. And he was just like, I don't even need this bamboo thing. That's like $1 bill. I'll just do it freehand. That's the way I did it at Samurai Sam. So I almost licked it. You know, I was so comfortable in doing that. Was there all right, so on me licking sushi, yeah, and rolling blunts, we'll pause on that and get ready to throw out the teas to give out these tickets for our Incubus. Incubus, obviously, everybody wants those tickets. That show is at the TCC. That's massive. That's a Lucky Man show. I'm very excited that A, it's coming in Tucson. B, that it's Lucky Man. C, that Incubus is choosing not to tour on Live Nation. This is an independent promoter tour. So they got a national, they did it old school before Live Nation Ticketmaster, which we all obviously we're still giving away tickets and promoting for. So I'm not necessarily bagging on them. It just that I noticed it. It was intriguing. Like, oh, that's different. Oh, okay. Yeah, good. And that's great news for Tom LaPena, owner of Lucky Man, because he gets to book a big ass show that guaranteed will sell and hopefully sell out. I don't see how it's not going to sell out. And if it does, I'll say this right now on the air, Rock 102.1 KFMA. If this Incubus show doesn't sell out, then Tucson, we don't deserve big shows. Just straight up. Like, you don't bitch about KFMA days or anything not coming to town. If we can't sell out Incubus, Bad Flower, and Paris Jackson at the TCC in August, what are your plans in August? You don't got anything. It's indoors as well. And the TCC has fantastic air conditioning. I know. I freeze my ass off every time I go there, and with or without an ice rink in the middle. All right. So I'm just saying that right now. And I think that's actually a perfect setup for this. I do have tickets to give away for Incubus, Bad Flower, and Paris Jackson before they go on sale today at 10 a.m. And I want to play a game. Yeah, 600 KFMA, 600-5362. I'll take callers number 6 and 9 right now. We're going to play a game, and we're probably going to make Herb Stratford uncomfortable and include him in on this game as well. Let's just completely annihilate Herb's brand, shall we? Yeah, it's going to be fun. So 600 KFMA, 600-5362. Callers number 6 and 9 will face off against each other. Whoever wins the game will get those tickets. Find out who that is right after Five Finger Death Punch. It's Rock 102.1 KFMA. Okay, so how bad would you hate me?
Oh my God.
If I had I brought back, we had a running game this week that was super fun. It was called Porn or Tennis.
Yes. Such a good game.
It is a good game. And I got a clip. I put together a bunch of clips and a little tennis smacking sound effect in it. Because you know how women, when they play tennis, it sounds very erotic. So sexy. It's hard to tell the difference between the audio of a tennis match and audio of an average clip that you would find on Pornhub. So what if I made you the deciding factor where I play the clip for you? You have to guess porn or tennis.
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not. I can't.
You're not acting out in porn.
No, I got to draw the line, man.
You're drawing the line.
I'm drawing the line.
All right.
I'm with Herb on this one.
You guys are both pussies. All right.
Yeah.
And I'll say,
and I'm with beef on this
the
one.
game is so simple. Look at you, high five. That's cool. You got the nerd
Dorks.
club going. All right. So Rocco 2.1. Who's this?
Melissa.
All right, Melissa. You're gonna be one of my contestants, okay?
Sweet.
Yeah, that's going to be a good deal. I'm trying to convince my two very shy friends who believe in brand identity, which again, this is not you. This is not you making a porn. This is not you playing tennis. I wouldn't suggest you guys to do either. You're both over that age for porn and tennis. So you would blow out a knee in either scenario. So I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just asking you to try to recognize whether or not it's one or the other. Yeah. What's your name, dude?
Steven.
David. All right, David, you're one of my contestants.
Steven, sorry.
Oh, Steven. Okay. All right.
Yes,
So close. You're still one of my contestants. All right.
sir.
So, Steven meet Melissa. Melissa meets Steven.
What's up?
Hey, Melissa or Steven, have you heard us play this game, Tennis or Porn, this week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
See, that's the thing. This is the thing. Because I want to test their memory. And they've already heard us play it, but you guys have not heard these clips. And I'll give you an example of the clip. It's really not that bad. All right. So here, as I pause it. Wait.
The birds give it away a little.
It's a lot harder than you think.
I know that is.
It's a lot harder than you think.
luck.
Okay, so here, this is the example. All right,
Yeah.
porn or tennis?
Tennis.
Well, you're all wrong. That's porn.
What do you mean?
Yep.
That's porn. All
Did
right.
you put that?
Yes, I put the sound effect in. Rock 102.1 KFMA.
Okay.
So you guys don't
That's
realize
not fair.
it is fair and it's super fun. I got Melissa and David or Steven on the phone right now. They're both trying to win these Incubus tickets. The game that we played a couple times this week and the theme, and it's good to end it and a good week on a good theme on this Friday is tennis or porn. That's the name of the game. Now, both Herb and Powers are too scared to even participate in this game with us. And what I was going to do was going to play a clip, and I was going to ask either one of them to guess if it's a clip from a tennis match, a female tennis match, or a clip from Pornhub. That's it. That's it. And then it was up to the contestants to agree or disagree, right? So you sure, Powers, you can't do this? I mean, it's still protecting your brand. It's my game. I'm the one who put these clips together. You didn't spend hours researching this.
Yeah, it's true. What's a porn hub? I don't even.
Exactly. But you know the definition of both tennis and porn, so help me out here.
Sure.
Okay, there we go. Is that tennis or porn?
I'll go with that's tennis.
That is incorrect. All right. So that's how we're warmed up. Now, Herb, whenever you want to take a stab at guessing, feel free. Herb Stratford, renowned film critic, is in studio while we do this. All right. Here's how this is going to work, guys. Melissa and Steven, I'm going to take turns playing a clip and then having Powers guess whether it's tennis or porn. Maybe Herb. And you have to agree or disagree. Okay.
Cool.
Did you take your head? Oh, I thought Herb took his headphones off like he doesn't even want to hear it.
No.
All right, here we go. We'll get right into it. All right, Powers, is this tennis or porn?
Tennis.
You're going to say tennis. Melissa, would you agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree? That is incorrect. That's actually porn. Yeah. There you go. All right, Steven, up to you. All right. First, I'm going to play the clip for Powers. Powers, is this tennis or is it porn?
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 Way too easy.
All right, Steven, what do you say? You agree?
Agree.
That is incorrect. Yes, that is tennis.
Dang.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah. They really get into it. I love it. All right, Melissa, we're going to go back to you after I play this clip for Powers. Powers, is this tennis or porn?
Tennis.
I'm going to say tennis. All right, Melissa, would you agree or disagree with Powers on that one?
Disagree.
Disagree. Oh, you should have agreed because that was tennis this time. That's right. All right. So far on the board, no points are between Steven and Melissa. All right. And if we go through this entire game without either one of you scoring 1 point, then I'm going to have to hang up on both of you and do caller number 10 for these tickets. Okay. So the pressure is on. Powers, is this tennis or porn?
Tennis.
All right. Steven, Powers says tennis on that clip. Do you agree or disagree?
Disagree.
You're going to disagree. You think it's porn?
Yeah.
Okay. What genre of porn? No, I'm just kidding. That's
Oh my
correct.
God.
Steven, that is 1
Outdoors.
point for you. Yes, it was outdoor porn. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So 1 point for Steven, but Melissa, you're still in the game. Don't worry. Okay. All right. Powers, is this tennis or porn?
Is that Riley Reid? Oh,
Is that a dolphin?
that's porn.
You say that's porn. All right, Melissa, agree or disagree?
Agree.
You're going to agree? Unfortunately,
Yeah.
incorrect. That was tennis. That was, in fact, tennis. Power, so far, you're not that good at this game.
I'm glad.
You're not. You're
Wow.
not.
Wow. All right, Steven, back to you. Tennis or porn? Here we go. All right, Powers, is that tennis or porn?
Jesus. Tennis.
Tennis. Steven, you agree or disagree?
I agree.
That is correct.
There. Good job.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. We'll do one more.
Thank God.
I got two. Tennis or porn, Powers?
Erotic cinema? No? All right, porn.
You say porn. All right. Melissa, do you agree or disagree?
Agree.
She agrees, and that is correct. That is porn.
Hey.
Yes, yes. And you said Riley Reid earlier. This is Riley Reid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Uh-huh. Isn't that nice?
I'll do
Yeah.
it.
She's fantastic. All right. Well, that is our round of tennis or porn. And with 2 points to 1, it looks like our winner is Steven. Congratulations, Steven.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Now, Melissa, I want you to stay on the line because I do have a consolation prize for you since you were such a good sport. And, it was really Power's fault that you couldn't get these right. All right.
I agree. I should get tickets as a consolation.
Well, I only have 1 pair of tickets, though. So you would have to fight Steven to the death. All right.
I'm
Or
ready.
she is ready. She
A
wants
tennis
to see,
match.
yeah, she wants to see Brandon Boyd and play some tennis with him. Oh, Melissa, is that the kind of tennis you play? All right, anyway, stay on the line. I'm going to get all your info, and thank you for playing. Let's hit the reset. We'll be back with your movie reviews with Herb Stratford right after this. Claire, see, that wasn't that bad.
I'm so upset because I was just gonna. I'm so upset I used the Riley Reid joke one thing early
Yeah, I
because
know.
I almost nailed it. That would have been so funny.
I lied. That wasn't.
Oh,
Riley
okay.
Reid.
I thought it was.
Yeah,
That's
no,
hilarious. Okay,
no,
then never mind.
no, I'm into amateur porn. Any kind of pros. I'm like, get out of here. All right. So, all right. We're gonna continue our clip of the good, the bad, the salsa with Chef Gary, and I'm gonna get the info for Melissa and Steven. Now, Melissa, these are my options, and I know that you want the Incubus tickets, and I really wish I had an extra pair of tickets to give to you. But I only have one for that. I do have a $20 gift certificate to Dante's Fire on Grant and Speedway, or a 4-pack of tickets for the Tucson Roadrunners, and they're anytime tickets, good for any game this Friday or Saturday, or next Friday and Saturday. So which one would you like?
I'll do the certificate.
Okay, good. Yeah, Dante's Fire, that's a fantastic place. You do a date night. It'll be a really good time. They got great food there. So I'm going to hook you up with that. For our streamers, we're going to continue the good, the bad, the salsa. Be back with Herb Stratford right after this. Working your way up. You mentioned your brother-in-law kind of paying his dues.
Right.
Did you have to pay dues?
Oh, yeah.
Give me
Absolutely.
an example.
I mean, working late nights, all that stuff. Just, working under famous chefs and having to do all the schlep work. And
Right.
yeah, you know what I mean? But I never really kind of got away from that. I still get my hands dirty every day. And, I never let go of that aspect of, hey, I came from nothing. I'm not going to take advantage of it. So,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Anthony Bourdain said famously, there's 2 types of people, right? There's the people that love the chaos of the kitchen,
that's
and then
me.
there's everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
That's me. I would do when it's busy, when this restaurant's jamming, and we're just struggling to get food out, and I'm all over the place. There's a line out the front door. It's my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, it's my favorite.
You just love
I
stress.
just
You love
it.
getting in the
Yeah,
muck.
I love it. Yeah. Or I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh, I didn't place the produce order, or I didn't do this, or it happened this morning. I was just woke up quick. I was like, oh, I gotta get. I was like, oh, it's Wednesday. All I got today is beef. Cool.
Yeah. I gotta do salsa.
Yeah, all I gotta do is salsa.
Speaking of salsa, let's go to this traditional red. So
Yeah, so this is our salsa picante.
Okay.
This is a very traditional tomato-based salsa.
Right.
Jalapenos, green chilies, and then chiltepine is kind of the spice. So this is the original.
Now you mentioned the chiltepine. We were talking with Chef Maria Maison Boca as well. She has chiltepine, and that's a Sonoran. It's basically that's the difference between salsas from other regions in the country. And
Essentially, I mean, we obviously pound for pound, it packs a bigger punch than most other chilies. I mean,
if I ate one by itself, is that why
we can save it till the end.
Okay, is that okay.
You'll blow out your palate.
All right, that's fair enough. So traditional red,
I mean,
jalapeno based, tomato based.
Yeah, this is the El Charro salsa.
Okay.
So if you go,
the famous, is this a recipe that's been around for 100 years?
Yep. So nice. A little bit of Mexican oregano in there.
Cilantro, or no, real oregano.
Oregano.
Mexican oregano?
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't even know there was a Mexican oregano.
Uh-huh.
And that's just grown in the Sonoran Desert?
It's about $40 less a pound.
No.
Just kidding.
No. I was like, that tastes like profit margin. But this is Mexican oregano, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can taste it.
It's more herbaceous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can definitely get it on the back of your palate.
Mm-hmm.
Lingers a little bit longer than Italian oregano.
Yeah, this is a famous sauce. Are they ever planning on bottling and selling it? Or
we do. We sell it at the stores,
yeah,
but not in retail. Just trying to get into retail's a nightmare.
Right.
You got to know someone who knows someone.
Yeah. Well, how long have you been working for the Flores family?
I'll be going on my 10th year this year. But my old steakhouse, we shared offices.
Oh. So
I'd see Ray, the president of the company. I'd see Ray in the hallway all the time, and he'd be like, hey, what do you think about this? Or if this happened, how would you handle that? Or whatever. So it was like a fucking 10-year job interview.
Yeah.
And then
just testing you out. Just gotta see where your head was at.
Yeah, absolutely. The family's great. I've been eating at the restaurant. I actually, when I was in high school, I used to live on court. Yeah. There was this like they're still there. It's this crazy like triplex of adobes that they just like put walls in the middle. Mm-hmm. And the one that we were in was on the end. So it was basically 2 rooms. There was the front room and the back room. And the back room had the kitchen in it. But when they divided up the adobe, the bathroom was in the far one.
Yeah.
So they built this like bathroom outside, but it was just like a wet room. It had a toilet and then a shower. And it was just like all like, and you just pull the shower curtain around, but it was all just one room. There's no like bathtub or anything. Yeah. It was just like, you could have just murdered somebody in there. It's crazy. But we used to like walk outside in the winter to go take a shower or whatever we had to do. We had to go outside. It was just, I mean, there's 3 of us that lived in this little adobe thing. Yeah, it was crazy times.
How long did you live there?
Oh, a little over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just toughened you up even more so. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as a chef, you have to be kind of like desensitized to the elements, right? So cold and heat. Even in the movie, that HBO movie, like The Menu or that food movie, how they just grab something that's like super hot. I mean,
it's not really like that, but I mean, we definitely have chef hands where we can, our skin doesn't cut as easily, if that makes sense. Or, I can pick up a hot pan if it's not like crazy hot. One of my line cooks was cleaning the grill the other day and left one of the things on, and I had accidentally touched it and burnt myself. I was like,
right. Yeah. That still happens all the time, right? Just a casualty of war. Yeah. All right. Let's get into the next salsa. So this is traditional red.
Yeah.
Charro.
Yeah. I mean, that's very.
Without revealing the menu, is it just basic? All right, we're back here on the podcast broadcast stream. We'll have more with Chef Gary here in a little bit, but I have a couple minutes before we get back on the air, and I wanted to share the music video that I don't know if you guys saw this yet, but Rico put together a music video for our Rap GPT song that I played earlier, and you heard me, and Weirdo got to see it, but we weren't live streaming, and I know that he put a good quality time into this, and I want to share with you this video that Rico put together, which is on his page, on his Instagram page, and I shared to my stories. So if you're not following Rico, you could check out our stories on Rock 1 2.1's page or on Beef Egan's page, and then you'll find Rico at Unreal Rico. Here is Jackie the bus driver, the music video. Check this out. There's a bunch of kids acting like jerks. And as they were trying to give her an asthma attack by spraying a bunch of perfume, she gave this a fantastic quote. She said, my foot's going to be so far up your bum that it's going to dangle from your nose.
Wow.
Yeah. And from that, Jackie went viral. It was fantastic. And, people set up a GoFundMe. She got a bunch of money. And there's even t-shirts being made of that crazy catchphrase. I could tell you more about the story, or Rico and I could rap about it with the assist of ChatGPT. Ladies and gentlemen, Rap GPT presents Jackie the bus driver. You ready, Rico?
Ready.
Now let's do this.
Beef.
Yo.
I missed the bus.
Oh, yeah? Well, you didn't hear? We don't have a bus driver, man. We got to walk now.
What?
Yeah, check this out. Yo. Let me tell you about this bus driver named Jackie. She had a job, but the kids were acting tacky. Driving to school back in every single day, but these kids were dicks and not in a good way. It started with a video, just a little clip, but someone caught her leaving. Those kids were giving lip. It blew up on the internet and views went through the roof as people were commenting and shedding the truth.
She couldn't take the disrespect anymore, so she quit, walked out, and she slammed the door.
Yeah.
But little did she know she'd go viral. The whole world heard her story, it was vital.
We all have a limit, we all have a line. We gotta take care of our peace of mind. But when someone breaks, we gotta be there for the love and support to show that we care.
Support came flooding in, strangers from all around. Set up a GoFundMe, they were never letting her down. Donations kept pouring in, love was in the air. Now Jackie's living life without a single care. Now she's living her life a little more relaxed. No more bus driving, no more being attacked. She's grateful for the love, the support that came her way. Now she's taking it easy, enjoying every single day.
She couldn't take the disrespect anymore, so she quit, walked out, and she slammed the door.
Bye.
But little did she know she'd go viral. The whole world heard her story, it was vital.
We all have a limit, we all have a line. We gotta take care of our peace of mind. But when someone breaks, we gotta be there for the love and support. Gotta show that we care. So that's all the lesson that we're given. Treat others with respect, because you never know when your actions will come to collect. So let's support each other, show that we care, and don't forget to say that you'll stick your foot so far up someone's bum that it will dangle from their nose, because then your fame will grow.
Yo, can you give me a ride, Beef?
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna be nice about it.
All right.
All right? Because you know what'll happen if you don't. You see this foot?
Oh, God.
There you go.
Brilliant.
Right?
nice.
You should tour for some after-school specials right there.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was our Rap GPT single of the week, Jackie the Bus Driver, and that's an actual story of a woman who went viral when she had enough guff and said, "That's it. I'm gonna stick my foot so far up your ass, it's gonna dangle from your nose." And
Right.
people were like, "I love this woman. Let's set up a GoFundMe."
How much did she get?
She's gotten over $30,000 so far.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, which is like
Good for
3
her.
years salary for
Right.
a bus driver. So,
Right.
yeah,
Again, let's give it to Rico. He gets the Grammy for that one.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. That was a good instinct to go high on that.
Yes, it was
So
perfect.
funny.
Yes, and we did enjoy the beat as well. These are royalty-free beats on YouTube. And honestly, as we're putting this together, we were like, hey, our goal is to release an EP, right? And there's a little mock-up EP under the rap group named Rap GPT. And I'm like, shit, we're getting close to an album. You know, we're doing these weekly and they're getting kind of like better or funnier. And I want to not only release an EP, but also have an EP release show where we perform these songs live with DJ Looney. Yeah, so I've been saving the beats, and like this is literally going to be a show that we're going to do.
I like it.
What
You
a
excited about that?
I
disaster.
like it.
A disaster.
That's insane.
Why is it insane?
All right, let me ask you this much.
Okay.
Do you want to headline a show and you're going to do all of these in a row like
Yeah.
you're a real band?
Yes.
Nice.
And then we'll have other bands on the bill as well. Rock 102.1 KFMA. I have a lot of musician friends, Powers. I could put together a hell of a show
I know.
have Rap GPT be the headliner, or not, maybe a co-headliner, and
There-
have the real headliner go on immediately after.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that might be the draw.
I think that would help. Well, we would outdraw most of these people.
I think you're right because Eating Pizza Naked's the song of the summer.
That is the jam,
Yeah.
right? And we'll replay that a little bit later. But let's get into our movie reviews. We're here with film critic Herb Stratford, and there are a lot of things finally starting to come out. We're getting ready for summer. What's most notable besides the movie Air?
I think the thing that's most notable is what to avoid this week. And,
Oh, really?
And that would be Paint, which is the the Owen Wilson movie where he's sort of it's sort of based on Bob Ross. You guys remember the beloved Bob Ross? And it's just I think in name only, it's the Bob Ross. Do yourself a favor. Go watch the Netflix documentary about Bob Ross because
Right.
it's a much better film. It's fascinating about what happened, how he like lost control. These people took advantage of him, stole his name. His son is named Bob Ross Jr. He can't even use his own name. As a painter.
He was too
Totally
nice.
crazy, right?
Yeah, and there's too
Yeah.
many sharks in this ocean.
So this is just a goofy thing. They just a wasted opportunity. I mean, and that's the problem. Owen Wilson is very hit or miss, you know?
No, he's miss. He is honestly, I don't know what happened to Owen Wilson's career, but you know, I think it has to do with his mental health. I know he's had a couple like rock bottom moments, and from there, his projects that he's gifted, if he's gifted these things, I know he's not necessarily choosing them, are terrible. And with the exception of Loki. Loki is the one kind of silver lining, but what is the last Owen Wilson film where you were like, good for Owen Wilson?
Bottle Rocket.
Yeah. I was gonna say Wedding Crashers. That came out after.
Okay, I'll give you Wedding Crashers. And you know, it's funny. Last night I was flipping through the channels before I went to bed, and Old School came up, right, with his brother, right, you know, with Luke Wilson.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, oh my God, like Vince Vaughn used to be the king of effing comedy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like Wedding Crashers and Dodgeball and you know and Old School. And then I think what happened, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about you, Powers. I was thinking maybe this is because it was before really the sort of ascension of the king of comedy right now, Apatow, right? And it's like if you're not in the Apatow orbit, you're sort of outside of the circle of trust.
I don't think that's what it is. I think it's something that he did behind the scenes, right? It's either politically motivated or, you know, based on how he is to work with, because it wasn't box office revenue. He was always banging out profitable movies. But yeah, his career jumped off a cliff, and I think it's 100% behind the scenes, you know, rubbing people the wrong way, you know, and that's what happened. Whether again, he's very strong politically minded, you know, and which it goes against the Hollywood point of views. Yeah. But if it's not that, it's something else about him that producers and directors are like, no, thank you.
Yeah. Are you talking about Vince Vaughn at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
100% talking about Vince Vaughn.
I mean, Vince Vaughn, like lately, like he'll pop up on like a Stallone level, or not Stallone, like a Bruce Willis level pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like, and I know it's not cool to make fun of Bruce because of his, you know, his
what a dick, dude. These guys, like, you know, he can't even remember his own name, and you're just kicking him while he's down.
But you know, it's like he was doing those things where he's like this. What was it called? Dragged Across Concrete or something? I think was a Vince Vaughn movie, and it was just like, really? So yeah, I don't know. I sort of miss the old Vince Vaughn, that sort of like, you know, crotchety sort of like, I mean,
old school fast talking, funny Vince Vaughn. I will say Freaky Friday was actually surprisingly entertaining. I will give him that.
Yeah. Oh, the one where he was the serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was that. You're right. That was actually not bad. Yeah.
So there you go.
So
Vince Vaughn is always been boring to JJ. So I just wanted to share that as a streamer comment. All right, what else to avoid this weekend?
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily to avoid, but I think there's something that totally is in our wheelhouse we should just touch on real quick, and that's beef.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Not
now
you.
I know. I know this only because I ran into Frank across the hall yesterday at 9:00. And he makes this little quip to me. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to talk about this show that I hate." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah? What's that?" And he's like, "It's called Beef." Yeah, I'm gonna say it to Christine just to make her laugh. I'm like, hey, you go ahead and do that. It's only you and Christine that are gonna hear that joke, though. Unfortunately, everyone tuned out. Oh, damn! Oh, damn! Did I say that? I mean, seriously, you try to take shots. I almost watched Beef last night in spite of. But do you enjoy this show?
You know, it's pretty funny. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. I think it's like 10 episodes, so it's a really. But basically, the premise is Stephen Yoon and Ali Wong, who are basically, they're engaged in this road rage incident, and they keep taking it up a notch, right? So it's not just like somebody cuts you off, you flip them off, or, you know, maybe you do something bad, you brandish a firearm, whatever, right? And that just happened yesterday on Oracle and River, but so it's not funny. Road rage is not funny, and don't do it. But in the case of this show, it's funny how far these people go because they become obsessed with messing with each other,
right?
In the way of like going to your house and pretending you're a plumber. You know, I mean, just like like befriending the woman's husband to try and somehow screw him, but then you get guilty because you're like, oh, this guy's kind of nice. I don't want, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's sort of funny to see how something gets taken so far down the road, and it's a little bit of a wake up call, right? Let stuff go. So Beef, it's on Netflix. It's 10 episodes. It's good. It's entertaining.
All right.
Very well done.
Well, that's good. I mean, if it is named Beef, then I would assume that it's wildly entertaining, more entertaining than most other options on the FM dial in Tucson. I'm just assuming.
And there's public urination in it. So, you know, there's a lot of similarities to, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a bit too far. All right, Herb Stratford, everyone. All right, the podcast broadcast is moving, youtube.com/pvegan, where we're going to be joined by a very special guest who has a fantastic YouTube page and does all these rundowns and recaps of Paramount's The Challenge. And I say Paramount, but MTV's The Challenge. Now, it's global challenge. We're going to meet Drew and go over everything The Challenge. So Herb and I are going to geek out about this. That's continuing on the podcast broadcast, youtube.com/beefvegan, or keep it right here. It's Rock 102.1. Clear. Thank you very much. And with that, go ahead.
Before I leave,
yes.
Did you see Super Mario Brothers?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know how it is.
Well, here, let's meet our guest real quick. Hey, Drew, good to see you.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being had, dude. We're gonna. I have a lot of catching up to do, and I also said this at the beginning of the show this morning. That this is a great for those people out there who aren't fans of The Challenge, because this conversation is going to be very much for the three of us. It's Herb Stratford over here. But you know, for anyone who's not a fan of The Challenge, but is a content creator, like how to put together a YouTube channel, compelling content and everything. I want to get to know your story because you put together fantastic work. I'm watching it grow in real time and it's great. So we're going to go down the rabbit hole with you about that as well. How long have you been doing your YouTube channel?
I've been doing the YouTube channel since 2017, but I was actually doing another YouTube channel like a year before I started my own stuff. Okay, so nice. Yeah, I was doing a fantasy movie league type of game website with a friend who had been doing it and still is doing like a coral reef channel, Coral Reef Talk on YouTube. Joey, he was doing it for about 5 years, so he's been doing it for like 8 years. And then he was showing me the ropes with the editing and filming and everything. And so we were doing that, and I just found The Challenge. I made a channel on my own because I kind of wanted to get into it and do my own thing besides the movie stuff. And then it just kind of catapulted from there. And I've been doing The Challenge pretty much ever since, and like obsessively doing videos over it. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot.
700 videos I've made over the past 3 years. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Cranking them out. Absolutely We're going to show some of those too. Have you seen, so you're a big movie fan as well, pop culture. Are you excited about this Super Mario movie? And have you seen it yet or seen any reviews on this?
I have not watched it yet, but I am very excited for it. I'm a huge movie fan. I have AMC A-list, and I think me and my friend who I was just talking about is going to go see it later this month. And yeah, I'm excited for it.
Nice. I know Powers, he's got the Super Mario hat.
His
Powers here. So Herb is a internationally renowned film critic, and you know, I'm hyping up.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, in the Southwest region, whatever. So what were some of the reviews that you heard on Super Mario that would make you want to either see it or avoid it?
You know, everybody's been pretty complimentary so far. I mean, I think it's just, you know, the bar was sort of low, right? You know what I mean? So it's like whatever they did. And I mean, the trailers delivered. So people were totally happy, as opposed to like Sonic, where everyone was like, good God, what have you done?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So I think it's going to do well. I mean, I think, you know, personally, I'm just not a Mario guy, so I'm not in that world, so I'm not jazzed about it.
Right.
I'm just saying.
He's a Pong guy.
No.
He's a Pong guy. When are they making Pong?
Yeah.
No, maybe Defender. Or,
I think that was in the arcade.
I'm gonna date myself a little bit.
It's all arcade games. I get it.
Okay. So but I mean, I think and my big thing at first was the Chris Pratt sort of exhaustion factor.
Okay.
Right? You know what I mean? I'm just like, and I understand everybody's like, just give him a break, whatever. But I'm just like, you know, I remember when he was the goofy guy in Parks and Rec, and now I'm like, every movie has to have Chris Pratt in it.
Yeah.
Either or The Rock.
So you want him to get fat again? If he got fat again, would you be team Chris Pratt again?
Maybe.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah. No, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm actually interested because I think big screen, I think it's going to be mind blowing just because of graphically. I think it's something you have to see big. Right. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I'm excited because Super Mario to me is like the most modern fairy tale.
Okay.
it's still a fairy tale. Like it's a classic fairy tale.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Yeah.
going to be kind of fun to see it. I'm just excited to see them.
Short,
go
pudgy
big.
guy gets a princess in the castle. You know, it's an American tale, really. It's a fairy tale. Well, Powers Weirdo, thank you for coming in. Let's geek out with our guest, Drew, here. I'm going to pull up your channel here in a second as well, Drew, because, again, it's fantastic work. And that is surprising to me that you got into the challenge while starting this channel.
Yeah, it was kind of like a perfect storm in a sort of way, because I made it. I did a couple of skits. They weren't really hitting very much. It was like movie related stuff to go along with the visual recreation that we were doing for Fantasy Movie League, which was a game and a website at the time that was paying us, which was actually pretty fun. But yeah, I started getting into the challenge. I watched a year, because the first season I watched was Dirty 30, which people are very shocked to hear that, because that is, I mean, 30th season. Getting into it is pretty late in the game. But there was a point where I watched all of season 30. While watching between episodes, I would go back and rewatch full seasons for a week. I would just watch full seasons going all the way back. And then when 31 was coming, or 32 was coming out, I started in 32. Wow. I started in Final Reckoning. So I went through 2 seasons of not doing anything challenge related, really. And then 32, I was like, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. Come to find out, it took like 26 weeks to cover that season. I started on the longest season in challenge history, it felt like.
It was long.
It was super long. And then War of the Worlds happened. And once War of the Worlds happened, that was when I saw a huge spike in a jump, with Wes being on the season, Turbo was on the season, Paulie and Cara were like super divisive on the show, and there was just a lot of good storylines that it kind of just snowballed from there. And then I started doing extra content on the side each and every week, and yeah, it's been going strong ever since. So I thank my lucky stars.
Yeah, you know, and with the extra content you're talking about, he has done original content where compiling, whether it's like every single one of CT's fights, or one of my favorite pieces that he's putting together, Herb, which you're going to really enjoy just as a watch, even if you are just like a quasi semi fan of the challenge and just aware of it, the evolution of Cara Maria. Which he has 2 parts out right now, waiting on the 3rd part, because she kind of evolves from, and it's pointed out very well, how she was like kind of this sweet, innocent victim into a winner, into a villain. And that's essentially like the running theme of Cara Maria. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Yeah. And Herb and I, we've got a head start, because we've been, and this is funny because we couldn't be more opposite in many ways, right? But we found out, we discovered a joint love of the challenge. Been watching from day one when it was Real World Rules, the challenge, right? Or just whatever the fuck they called it, and then evolved into. And how did you go all the way back to the first season? And how do you find those first seasons? Really, you have to pay for all those, huh?
So when I actually was going back to rewatching all these seasons, MTV it had them all on their website for free. So I could go back and watch all the way back to season 23 through MTV. And that was before Paramount Plus was a thing. So I was watching via MTV's website legally for a while. And then all of a sudden they kind of ran out of seasons. MTV Canada had up to season 19, Fresh Meat 2. So like, that's how I was getting through watching all the way back. And then you have to go find certain ways and certain avenues to find like season 18 and up back in those days, until Paramount Plus finally got those out. But I have a secret stash of 1 through 9 at this point that is still out there, not being able to be streamed at any point. So I have that kind of saved up, and then I have a way of having all of my all the other seasons kind of under my control to use in videos and clips and everything. So yeah, it was a long journey, but it was really, really fun to go back and watch all the history between all the players. And I think that's what really got me into the challenge, was that I was always fascinated, because I grew up with like Survivor, Big Brother, and the most exciting seasons were the returning seasons, when players who used to play are coming in, playing with new players, and you're going, how are they going to do this? You know, these people went deep into their original seasons. How are they going to be able to snake their way with the reputation that they have to get to the end again? And the challenge is basically that every single season. And it's so interesting how these players can try to adapt, try to play with new players, maybe only stick with the veterans that they play with. And that's what I think kind of got me hooked into it, because I'm also a huge sports fan. So being able to see these players, root for them season after season or root against them season after season, it just felt like a great mixture of sports and off the wall wacky competitions and having to fight for your right to stay in the game, mixed with a reality show that kind of just almost fit me personally, that I just felt really understood in that.
Right, yeah. And JJ saying he used to be a Big Brother fan for US for the first 13 seasons, but it's tough to make a connection. That Herb was saying the same thing when Paramount announced and the challenge announced that they were going to do a global challenge, right? And then they were the way they were going to set this up is they were going to do a challenge Argentina, Australia, United States, and UK. And initially he wasn't feeling the US version, right?
Well, I just, it's funny because when they did, and back to your point, Drew, about sort of the mixture of sports and stuff, one of the things that I thought was so funny was when they brought in the big athletes like Yo-Yo or Lolo, whatever her name was.
Lolo Jones.
Yeah, Lolo Jones. And she just got crushed.
That's
because
right.
It doesn't matter if you're a crack athlete, right? There's so much of it is psychological. So much of it is like a head game, right? With these people.
Teamwork.
And you come in and it's like, you're talking about, competing in an arena where some of these folks like Bananas have been doing it like 28 times or something. I mean, you can't even get up to speed, and you're immediately on the chopping block, right? They're immediately going to get rid of all the rookies. So it's interesting to me, when they did when they're bringing in these other people and they're trying to introduce, fresh meat, right? Like the one season, but at the same time, it's pretty clear right away who's got juice, right? And who's going to make it. And I mean, I don't know. I was worried. I watched the US challenge and I was like, I'm still jonesing for my original people. And then I tried to watch Australia and I was like, I'm out. I'm just totally out. I'm like, these are the exact same challenges as the US did. I don't need to watch the same thing with different faces, right? But the global challenge I'm digging because we have the vets, right? Yeah. And I'm in.
Right. I would say that. I mean, I watched them all too. I even started watching Argentina, even though it's all in Spanish, and I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" But that was the only thing that I didn't like was with all these for the global challenge setup. It was all the same challenges, but I still watched it through to get to know the characters. I did mention to Herb that as far as the U.S. Challenge was concerned, is that once you get to know the people, it's the same game. Right. But the thing that was missing from the US version of the challenge was the fucking and fighting. If you don't mind me cursing a little bit, we're on the podcast side, but the effing and fighting, so to speak, right? That's what you want. You want that element along with the competition, and the US version of the challenge did not necessarily pay off that. There was zero effing and fighting in my mind,
But I would say to Drew and Drew, I want to know what you think about this. Like, because you've gone back and Beef and I have watched all of them. So it's like I have people that I would love to see come back, right? Like I would love to see, somebody like Kenny. I don't know if you remember Kenny, who was like a really arrogant guy, New York guy. I'd love to see him come back and try and compete in this arena. When Brad came back with his monster beard, he had a real hard time, right? He was just not ready for the level of competition. Some of those guys, they just, Mark, I mean, they tap out. They're like, nope, I can't deal with it. Are there people that you would love to see come back?
Yeah, so I do want to touch on the spinoffs real quick. That I do agree with everybody here that it did have that repetition in it, but it kind of made sense to me that they would want to have close to similar games, because then it's like, oh, well, it's kind of one for one. If this person did well in this elimination and they played against this person, maybe it would be the same thing, but it was that repetition. And it was weird because the Challenge USA was like the first one up. And then it was so different compared to even the Challenge 38. It seemed like the spinoffs for Australia, Argentina, and the UK were more of spinoffs with the Challenge 38 than with the Challenge USA. It just seemed so out of left field. They were in a different house doing different games and doing different dailies. It was just weird.
Yeah.
I think that the what is the problem with, and this is what I was worried about when having the Challenge USA, is that these players are coming from Survivor, Big Brother, Amazing Race, and these shows are watched on cable access, or just like general masses can watch this, and they're pulling in a lot of big numbers, bigger than the Challenge on MTV. But it's like that's a niche kind of like a competition show where they are doing so many different things, and it's for an audience that has been cultivated by the way that they've been processing and editing the seasons from forever. But with Big Brother and Survivor, they're not used to having relationships on like the island and bathing and all this other stuff, and it's watched from ages 4 to 84. Which is not what the Challenge's demographic is. It's not being watched by 4-year-olds to way older people. So when they were bringing in the USA, I was like, well, this is just going to be competition. It's just going to be a sports thing, because that's what that's what Survivor wants. They want mainly the challenges. They want mainly strategy. And that's what I was expecting. And that's what we got. Night 2 was kind of like a little blasé on the Challenge USA for that reason in particular. Now, I think what MTV did perfectly was start All Stars, because that's where we're getting exactly what we want as the challenge audience and fans. Is you're getting to see older competitors. Granted, they're older, but they are the faces that we've grown up with and who are going to bring the drama, who are coming back wanting to prove themselves against other players that maybe they didn't win against at their time when they played originally. So I agree that I think that All Stars is where it's at. This is where the Challenge feel is, and I want All Stars to go for like 100 seasons. It's incredible. It's great. I do think that there are some people that come on to Challenge All Stars and kind of underestimate the level of competition, because they have the bigger muscles now, and they're just like, oh, I got this on lock. Or like, I think Mark is a really strong competitor, but I just think he underestimates the process of having to win against people who have competed recently, like Brad, like Wes, who have been on the main ship show relatively more recent than Mark has. And then they come in knowing exactly how to train, how they want to train, how do you make it into a finals and then be able to beast it out. And sometimes it's not the biggest muscles to do it. So
and Wes made that clear in the Global Challenge recently, but it didn't really work out for him. So
he gambled. He gambled and he lost. And I mean, and it's interesting to me though, to that point, like, you're out of the game for a little while. Some of these people, I want to come back and, prove to my kids that I'm a badass or whatever. And it's like, no, some of these people, like Cara Marie up until recently, like that's all they did, right? They just trained. I mean, you look at their Instagram feeds and everything, and like it's them in the gym. I mean, that's all they do is go on the challenge.
We're gonna get on the air for a tease here, real quick. So this is a podcast broadcast, Drew. So we go back and forth on the air. Okay. Rock 102.1 KFMA. Welcome back to Beef Vegan Presents. We are live in the podcast broadcast. Got a very special guest. It's Drew from Angel Cake Productions on YouTube. What's the best way to say that, Drew? So I can direct everyone to go to your page, because it's one of my favorite pages on YouTube.
It's youtube.com/angelcakevids is the URL that I picked out for myself, because I found that putting Angel Cake and entertainment back to back with each other is really difficult and can confuse people of how many E's are kind of back to back. So it's easier just to do Angel Cake Vids to go directly to my YouTube page.
Yes, and it's a family-friendly page all about MTV's Challenge. It's not adult video related, even though Angel Cake could be misconstrued that way, I would say. Sorry.
Yeah, that's for my other off the side kind of gig.
Side hustle, exactly. So we're keeping a conversation with Drew here on the podcast broadcast stream, where we're going to go down the rabbit hole on the challenge, and we'll have more right after Disturbed on Rock 102.1 KFMA. So keep it right here. Clear. All right, now we're just on the podcast side, and then we'll be back on the FM side as we sway back and forth. So let me bring it back to what we were talking about, the global challenge. I will say this, because you say that MTV's All Stars or Paramount's All Stars is the formula, and I agree. It's wildly entertaining and exactly what they should be. I was scared that the global challenge would have been just like the US challenge on Paramount, right? And strictly focus on competition, because I know they want to make this a legit sport. But the formula is legit competition with relationships and politicking and hookups and drama and fighting and all that. You combine all that. That is the winning formula in my mind. And I do feel like this season of the Global Challenge has been delivering on that front somewhat. You know, I mean, obviously not salacious hookups as everyone's getting older. They're not just free to just jump from bed to bed. But there is still the relationship dynamic between Tori and Jordan. And, you know, and then there's still the drama with just Kellyanne being there. It's drama enough, right? So do you feel like they are kind of, you know, marrying the two concepts in a way on this Global Challenge?
I do. I think that the World Championship is actually doing something that we haven't seen in quite a while on even the main chip show, and that is the drama aspect. And I think it's spicier because of the MVPs that were brought on, as well as the differing cast. I mean, Kellyanne has been solely on All Stars, but then you bring her into some of the flagship show, and she's like, doesn't get it. She's like, why are we working with some of these people? Why are they not liking me or anything like that? And I think that friction in between the MVPs who are older than some of the rookies that are coming on to doing the main ship show, who are like 23, 22, who have no idea what the challenge is. Their agent just signed them up for a US show and they said, yes, please. And you have these survivors who are like 30, in their 30s, in their 40s, who have done multiple Survivor seasons and go, I know strategy. I know how to win games, you know, and I want to do this when everybody just defaulted to whatever the legends would do, which is not happening here. And I think that's where the friction is coming in, and that's what's making it this exciting more so than some of the other recent seasons that aren't as exciting.
Yeah, I know that you do MVPs and LVPs of each episode, but what would you say is the front runner for MVP of this season so far?
MVP of the season so far? I mean, I really like what Danny and Tori's dynamic is, just because they are just chaos, but they're like tethered together. And you can just tell like Tori is getting frustrated because she's like, I've done 8 seasons. People should trust me at this point, but Danny knows what he wants to do. So it's like you're getting pulled from both sides. And I just want to know where this dynamic goes in this game, because normally a house divided cannot stand. Yet they're really strong. They're intimidated. They are aligned on both sides, the MVPs and the legends. And it's just like, where do you go? Like, you're not on the same page at all. And I just think that they're bringing it on all facets of like drama, competition, but also just like wanting to rip each other's hair out, which is awesome.
Yes, and we're talking about the dynamic of the Global Challenge with Drew from Angel Cake Vids on YouTube, which is a channel solely dedicated to the challenge on Paramount, and of course MTV is the challenge, and the breakaway MVPs of the season so far. And I would say Danny, who was on the US version of the challenge going into this, he came off as kind of boring, kind of cardboard, right? But in this season of the Global Challenge, you're getting a personality from Danny that is wildly entertaining. And of course, he's got the backbone where he's not going to be a pushover for any of these old vets. And I think that's been adding a lot of excitement to this show.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think, and Drew, I think you're spot on about that as the most interesting coupling, because some of the other ones just, you know, don't work, or you can see what's going to happen to them. But there's just something about that friction and the two of them being really strong, and in a way that I think is really, I think MTV or Paramount Plus would love it if all of the pairings were that dynamic. But, you know, getting one is pretty awesome. And it's that chemistry. And I mean, I remember when they were doing the sort of pickups, you know, when they were selecting the partner they were going to have. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, this is going to be good, right? You know, some of them you're like, ooh, train wreck. You know, how long are those two going to get along? So yeah, no, I think it's, and I think also just, I want to touch real quickly on the idea that, you know, this nostalgia factor, right? About the idea that, you know, some of these faces that we've seen and we know,
watch them grow up,
you know. What didn't work, and I think what MTV recognized real quickly, was, you know, beyond that first season of the Real World Reunion, right, where they got the cast together, you know, with the exception of Eric Nies because he had COVID.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then they did it, I think, 2 more times. They did LA and they did one other one. And
they
then
did New Orleans.
Yeah, and then they canceled.
Yeah. Did they cancel it?
They did. It's done.
Oh, dude, I was all about New Orleans. First like season is like whatever, but with Julie, I can't wait to see Julie back. That's a whole nother discussion. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I mean, but it was interesting, right? Because it wasn't just enough to throw all these people into a room for a weekend, because you know what? They knew it was 3 nights, right? You know, you're done and you're going home. On the challenge, you're like, you want to be there as long as possible, Right. So it's a whole different, it's an end game, totally not even about the money. I mean, it is about the money, but it's also about like these people live to go on its exotic location and hang out for whatever it is. I don't know. Drew, do you know, is it 6 weeks? I mean, how long, a couple months? How long is it when they go?
Yeah. When they shoot one of these seasons.
It differs. So it depends on how long the season's going to be. It seems like they're all going to be like 22 weeks, and it depends on now with certain protocols that if somebody tests positive or anything, that they go into another quarantine for a handful of days. I think 36 was everybody had to be re-quarantined, and it took like
season
2
36
weeks
yeah
to come back.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then 37, when it came out, the protocol was then reduced to 5 days that they had to quarantine, and then 38 they were able to just quarantine 2 people instead of the whole cast. So I mean, it was just like, it can differ. I've heard 6 weeks, but I've also heard like 8 weeks, possibly like 2.5 months, depending. But then that's where we get All Stars, where it's only supposed to go for like 3 weeks max. So that's when you can get some of these older players who have families, who may have a second job or anything, that they can take off work or take off some time to come in, because it's only asked for 2 to 3 weeks of your time instead of being there for 2.5 months of your life, which can be a lot.
But that's the appeal of the show as well, because to these people, it is the ultimate vacation. It's a vacation where you get to see a bunch of old friends, you get to drunk, and then you get to play games. And yeah, you get to compete, which is fun as well. But with all those aspects, that makes sense about All Stars, because it's a 10 episode season usually, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they could crank out 10 episodes worth of drama within 2 to 3 weeks and get paid in the process, all expenses paid. Vacation. I love that. So I'm going to ask this question to you guys on the podcast broadcast stream. Out of everyone, of course, we all have people that we root for. I want you to think about the person that you root against the most in the history of the challenge, and we'll reveal that and debate those villains on the podcast broadcast stream. We got more with Drew from Angel Cake Vids on YouTube coming up next on Rock 102.1 KFMA. So keep it right here. Join us, youtube.com/beefvegan. Clear. All right. So that was FM side. All right. Now with that, the question I'm asking you, okay, so we all root for somebody. I was rooting for Wes Bergman. I know that you hate Wes.
I do hate Wes.
I love me some Wes, man. Our last names are similar too. And he reminds me of my cousin. But I mean, I've grew up loving and hating Wes, and I'm to the point where 100% endearment. The guy's cocky as shit. And it never really works out that often except in All Stars. He's had some good runs. But who do you root against the most? Who are you most willing and rooting for to lose in any given season? I'll start off with Drew.
For me, you know what's fun about the challenge is that some people surprise me. You know, I try to go into certain seasons with an open mind, and I find that some people are edited in a way and has a nice storyline that I'll root for them, even though I rooted against them for 1 or 2 seasons prior, and vice versa. But consistently, I mean, I think I don't like Zach very much. Zach has been somebody that kind of has rubbed me the wrong way more so than made me want to root for him. I think his demeanor can be kind of abrasive. I will say that, man, who else is there? I wanted to see if I could get like a man and a woman.
Like Amanda? If you're saying Zach, like, would you?
Yeah, I could say that.
Root against
I could say
Amanda?
Amanda hasn't been somebody that I've been actively rooting for in certain seasons. I think in 37, she was a breath of fresh air because I think she took off some seasons. And so it was like, okay, she's kind of against certain numbers. Nani hasn't been somebody that I've really rooted for very recently. I've actually been pretty consistent having a lot of criticism against her. I just don't think that she has that extra gear. Like, talk about somebody who's there for a vacation. I think that's somebody I would say is there for a vacation more so. I mean,
at least in her first 15 seasons, but the past couple seasons, it seems like that's all she wants to do is try to win finally.
But I just don't think she has that extra gear. I mean,
right.
On season 36, when it came down to maybe getting second place and walking away with some money, she kind of was just like, this is as fast as I can go at the end of this. And I don't try to demean the finals. I think that they were really, really difficult. But if you can't even like try to kick it into another gear at the very last second, seeing TJ in the finish line, I mean, how you expect to get first place if you're willing to just get fourth place at the end of the day. So that's where I'm coming from.
All right. Yeah, those are excellent answers, Herb. Oh, who are you rooting against?
I got to say recently, sometimes there were like one-offers, right? Like where I was just sort of over somebody like that guy Kenny. But, recently I think my folks that I like to hate the most would have to be the tandem of Fessy and Josh. Okay, because it's just like Dumb and Dumber, I mean, the two of those guys are just like, and I mean, in the vacuum they created when Banana wasn't around, right? They're just like, oh no, we're the big shots, and it was like, no, you're too stupid to be the big shots. You know what I mean? Just go back in the corner. And I mean, Fessy I just think Fessy thinks he's so cool and such a player. I'm just like, I hate that guy. So yeah, not a fan.
Yeah, Fessy is easy to root against. Josh as well he seems so like thick-headed that I don't personally like Josh as my favorite, and I don't see him winning anytime soon. Honestly, I was surprised he won Big Brother, but he knows how to politic. But yeah, I think Wes, and this was season. I don't have them locked in my memory like you do, Drew. I think it was 35 or something. I think it was War of the Worlds 2. He's just like, Wes was like, I don't like, emotional or stupid people. And he's like the most emotional, stupid person I ever met. And I'm like, that's pretty spot on, actually. I don't like to rip too hard, but yeah, so I root against Josh and Fessy on a regular as well. I think those are good answers. With everyone. Oh, before we get into who we want back, Drew knows a bunch of like behind the scenes kind of verbiage. There's things that I learned, like just the other day I was watching the recap of episode 3 or 4 where you talked about, no, it was just this last episode. You talked about I'm thinking penis float, but they called it like flyaway or something. You called it a budget challenge. Or something like, was that the verbiage you were using for that?
Yeah, that was something I don't think that's like anything that is actual in like the challenge realm. I just was like thinking that this is something that they just put together. They were like, how can we save some money but make it fun to possibly watch? And so they just got a pool float from a pool store in Argentina and then cut the logo in thirds and then was saying we could just time them. After spending so much money on 4 cranes on the previous challenge to try to throw, like that was so cool. And then this past week's episode is just like, all right, you're gonna dive onto a pool floaty and send your partner flying and swim. And it's okay. Yeah,
I really enjoyed that for what we saw. Like, I like that the ascent and the stunt of it, and it did show that you can't get hurt doing it because Grant showed that perfectly by fucking up royally. I mean, that he almost, and I know that's the brutal thing too, because the one fear that you have in the back of your mind is like, I hope no one ever dies doing any of this stuff because I want this to continue forever. And then Grant's like, hold my beer, my Fosters, because I'm going to show you how you can almost kill yourself jumping on a beer, like a pool float. And that was brutal and injured himself. But I did enjoy it. But you do bring up good points because it got so redundant, apparently, at least to production, that they didn't even show a lot of the people being launched. And I thought that was the payoff. Just like, let's get you launch your partner 30 feet in the air and have him belly flop. That's hilarious. But that didn't seem to be the case. They do selectively edit things out that you feel is a little suspect. I mean, the biggest controversy was the USA final in the challenge because they didn't show any of that. And of course, Tyson was, bitching up a storm online. And, because it did seem like, they gave Sarah a pass because she never like solved the puzzle and she didn't necessarily time out. But in the episode with the cranes, they didn't show Troy. So Troy and Amber started off 7 points in the hole in a deficit. And then you pointed out that not only did they not get to the bottom 2, but that means they had to have gotten in at least 10 out of that challenge. And they didn't show any of that. And I thought that was odd. Why would you think that is?
There's times where this show just is like, we'll tell you what we want to tell you kind of thing. And it's just like, all right, fine. I guess that's what we have to do. I mean, this has been a huge point of contention for me on the channel for quite a while is just transparency. I mean, the show can be quote unquote transparent as much as they want. It's all we want as fans is just like put a timer on the bottom. We honestly don't care if that timer is wrong. We don't care if a count is wrong. Just make an effort on trying to be as quote unquote transparent as possible. But I mean, to have them do 10, that would have been the second best behind Bananas and Justine, who got 14 total. I mean, that's something to celebrate. I mean, heck, they didn't even show Darrell and Kiki's totals, who were in that last heat, and they somehow beat Bananas and Justine with 14. Like, why not just give us that little graphic showing that they got at least 15? Just say it's one ring over. That was something to highlight when everybody else is getting like 2, 3, 8 at the most. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
And that would have showcased Troy's strength and the team of Amber and Troy, which you're already like counting out because we know that Amber got pregnant if you follow the internet. So she's not going to last that long in this season. And they kind of like allude to it or hint to it in that episode as well with her constant nausea. But, you know, before they get medically disqualified, it could have shown that they were actually probably pretty strong contenders in this season as a tandem, I thought. But, you know, they did the same thing in Ride or Dies with the final, where they didn't show this supposedly the longest final ever. And they didn't show shit.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
They cut that thing up. It was like, what was it? It was 100 hours, but 50 of it was them sleeping and chilling out at the campsite. I mean, ridiculous.
Exactly.
It is fantastic, though. Let's get into so Herb already kind of brought this up, and it's funny that you were thinking Kenny too, but of course Kenny and Evan both got banned from the challenge because of a heinous act, which at that time those houses were chaotic. You could drink whatever you want, and it was like a frat house.
Oh, they fed them the booze. You know what I mean?
They fed them the booze, but allegedly, you know, Tanya was sexually assaulted with a toothbrush. That's the folklore on the internet, right? And then from that, they banned these guys forever. But at the point for the 4 or 5 years that Kenny and Evan were both on, calm Kevin together, they were the focal point. They were the stars of the show. Right. So, you know, would you want them to return? Do you feel like the punishment fit the crime? Because, again, not only talking about the fame and the recognition or being able to play the game, this is a job for them. You know, a lot of them. Right. They make good money. What do you think? What's the average of, like, say, a Bananas salary for the season, who's got to be like one of the highest paid participants of this, because they get paid weekly and then they could, of course, win the prize as well. But what's a base salary that you've heard that these people make?
So the base salary that I've heard is that if you are a long-standing vet who have done a ton of seasons, who has the big name, aka like a CT or Johnny Bananas, you don't get really paid weekly. You get paid one lump sum right at the beginning. And so you could get, I heard like this was an article way back in the day, but it was like $80,000 you could get paid.
There you go.
For the lump sum right in the beginning. Now, if you're a rookie on the season, you could get paid like $1 to $2K per week. And depending on how long you're there, and then you can get that. And then if you do a good enough job and production likes you and you've maybe had some storylines, then boom, you get more and more time. And then your asking price can go up from there. But that's where I've heard the two extremes have been. I haven't found anything that like solidifies it as of yet, if any rates have gone up. But I know, like, if you have Bananas and you're a manager and you feel like you can bring in the audience and production tells you who's on the cast, and you know, like half of them are going to be rookies and some of the vets aren't drawing in the big numbers, you could probably drive up your price a little bit more, and then production can kind of go back and forth on calls and trying to figure out who's worth it.
And, you know, the other thing about it is these guys off season, and I looked into this at one point just out of curiosity, off season, you know, they all have agents and managers, and, you know, they do appearances. So like nightclubs and stuff will pay them, you know, will pay, you know, Cara Maria to come show up and hang out at your club. And, you know, they get, you know, whatever it is, $2,500 or whatever. Right. Which, you know, I mean, on one hand, it's a little bit scary, right? I mean, just to have all kinds of crazed fans there. But at the same time, I mean, it's their job. They're either training, they're on the show, or what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
So, but that goes back to my point. So for like a Kenny and Evan situation, their costs, you could, let's say $50,000 a year. They've been banned off the show that they were probably going to continue to be on, at least Kenny, for as many seasons as it can. So probably cost them upwards to $1 million. in this time that he's been off the challenge? At what point is it the punishment is enough, or there is no number, and what they did is the reason why they got the punishment and the lifelong ban is fair? What would you say?
I believe that it is good that they haven't been on since, and I'm good with them not ever really coming back. I don't even think they necessarily want to come back, because if you come back onto the show, that's what will be lighting up all of the internet, all of social media, is how are these people back? Why is this person back? Why, like, bringing up clips and articles and news articles, written articles. I mean, it's just going to resurface everything to just make life even more hell for Kenny, Evan, and Tanya, wherever Tanya is. Last time I heard that she is kind of gone and done her own life, and that is great to hear, because she really needed to get some help.
Yes.
It was not good for her to be on these shows anymore, but I just think that it's just best for everybody, in particular, just to not have that headache of coming back on to do the shows or anything, or being asked to do the shows. I think Evan kind of threw the challenge in Rivals because he had to go do some schooling. So I don't think he was going to do much of the show anymore anyways. But then I think Kenny is doing his own thing, living in New York and doing his personal trainers and everything. So I just think that everybody's has been doing their own life for so long that they're probably fine without doing it. And I'm cool with them just being off the show. I just don't want that exposure. I don't want them on the show and
still benefiting. You're right.
Well,
they made a mistake. They have to live with it.
The other thing about this that's interesting, I think, from a production standpoint, is it's almost like, and you've seen this from the Emmy Awards and some of the things that have happened, the budgets have gone up and the production values have gone up, specifically on the actual, the challenges. You're not seeing, just they're upping the game a little bit. And I think it's almost like the challenge has been around long enough that it's like still here. So people are taking it seriously. And, within this sort of legacy and this sort of the ecosystem of unscripted world, it's finally getting sort of the attention that it deserves as a unique thing in terms of what the elements are that bring it all together. Nobody else does this. So you almost don't want to see, some of the mistakes of the past, or, I'm not minimalizing sexual assault at all, but it's just like, this is the opportunity for this thing to not keep those skeletons in the closet. You know what I mean? Like, let's just move on as best we can, and not bring all that stuff up, because the fact that it's got this home, it's got a much bigger audience now, I think, on Paramount,
Well, they effed up a royal opportunity, and it's something that they could have went back on. But yeah, I do agree with your point there, Drew, that if they did, all it would do is bring up all the past that all three are probably trying to move on from, and it wouldn't benefit anybody. So that's an excellent point. We're talking with Drew from Angel Cake Vids on youtube.com / Angel Cake Vids on YouTube, whatever. So it's all things a challenge. So let me lead into this question. We talked about who you hate the most or root to lose the most. Who is your all-time favorite person that you root for whenever you see them on the challenge or whenever you saw them on the challenge? I'll start off with Drew on this one.
So this is fun because I get this comment a lot, like, who are my top 10, who's my top 5. And I'll be real. I've been kind of dodging these questions for my whole time up here, because I like people to be mystified on who is like my all-time favorite player and all this other stuff, because people can say that I'm biased if I say I like this person or dislike this person. So I've been keeping it coy for a while, but I will just default and say that what CT has been doing on his most recent seasons coming back has been nothing but incredible. I mean, going from the guy that everybody hates, being this tall, intimidating, angry guy, to then coming back and being this lovable person that people want to root for, and then getting the dad bod, and then getting in shape and absolutely just terrorizing the house. I mean, physically, socially, it's just unfair. It's unfair for a man to look that good, to be that tall, to be that charming, and then to absolutely hose the competition. I mean, it's just to win. I think he won 3 of the last 4 seasons that he was on.
Yes.
I mean, 34, 36, and 37. And then he took 38 off. And I think he did a Challenge Mania podcast saying that he wanted to take it off so he let other people have a chance to win. And I don't blame him.
That's the only reason. He's like, I'm not tired or anything. I'm just trying to be a nice guy. We're talking with Drew from Angel Cake Vids on YouTube. We're keeping the conversation moving on the podcast broadcast stream, youtube.com/beefvegan. More coming up next. Keep it right here. It's Rock 102.1. Yeah, that's a very valid point too. And so, is there any kind of speculation as when CT will return? Any seasons? Is he going to do All-Stars? Are you going to come back to the flagship, do the global challenge, any of that?
The thing with CT is that his name is making headlines for his divorce right now.
Right,
so it's very touchy subject of a lot of law stuff that he's been going through. And I think at this time he might want to be looking more towards his acting career as well as just trying to get that divorce settled. And what's the next steps for like being there for his kid? Because if he's gone for how many months in a quick period of time, I mean, that's going to be something to bring up to the court, being like, he's going to be gone for 6 months out of the year. So I should have full custody or something. And then that can get really, really muddy as well. So I'm praying that the divorce settlement can go well, that everything will be amicable at the end of the day, and that they can co-parent and CT maybe can return to the challenge when he is ready to. So I'm hoping that it's not completely over, but at
fingers crossed.
Time, but maybe All-Stars would be a better route because it's 2 weeks to 3 weeks instead of. And it's going to be him just cashing in like $250,000 in his back pocket. Like as soon as he walks into the door, it's like over. Like, come on, it's just over.
Yeah, that's true. He would definitely mop up any of the All-Stars. And the reports that have been kind of being shared on People magazine, things like that, is that the divorce right now is not going good. It's one of those bad divorces. Not that there's any good divorces, but if there was anything close to that, that is not this, unfortunately. And so with joint custody, that's gonna be messy. So well, good luck to CT. Who do you root for, Herb? Who's your all-time favorite?
I got to tell you, I'm actually right 100% with Drew on this one. It's like I think the character journey of CT, and I remember CT. I believe it was Paris in the real world was where he came from.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? And it's like I just remember seeing him going from that kid to the punching in the driveway to the getting kicked off the show. With Adam, to my favorite moment. My wife and I, our favorite moment ever is Johnny Backpack. So I mean, just like the journey of CT is just so fascinating. And you're right, Drew. I mean, like he comes into the house and he's like the full package, right? It's just like you respect him, you fear him. Where Banana's a little more divisive, I think. But CT is just like, I mean, I even watch CT's, legitimate acting things. I'm like, I'm gonna give the guy a shot. I'm gonna check it out and see.
You're a film critic. What would you review him and his acting work as? Okay.
He's better on the challenge. But it's like I just like him. I mean, I even watched the whole thing when he got married. That whole whatever that thing was.
You watched the wedding special, which your heart's got to break over this divorce, man. Like what? Yeah, you got a little bit of fame, you got money, you got CT. He's awesome.
Yeah,
we would all set CT up with our sisters at this point, So
I like CT. I'm there too. Beef, what about you?
I'm going to surprise you with my answer because it does vary, but my all-time favorite, as according to the last 7 years, is someone that you're not going to expect and someone who is going to perpetually lose, but one of these days he's got to bring home a ring.
All right.
Talk about Nelly T. Nelly T to me, and I'll tell you why. Nelly T. Nelson, and he just got into a car accident and he's recovering. I wish him a speedy recovery. Very tragic and very scary. And I think members of the Dallas Cowboys saved him. It was something odd like that, right? And he got fucked up. But Nelly T is the most inadvertently hilarious individual I've seen on television in quite some time. He is so clueless in a way, but so also braggadocious. And I think production has figured out his charm in a way, and this is why he was on a global challenge too, because he wasn't anywhere close to winning any of these except for the first couple seasons. He made it to the finals based off his athleticism, but once they start figuring him out and his politics is shit, I mean, what was it in was it Ride or Dies or the season where he tried to make a deal with everybody in the room?
Oh yeah.
And they call him out on it, each individually, and he's just like, yeah, making deals. What? Like, because he's clueless, right?
Yeah.
There's parts where they will zone in on him and just a facial expression that will make me and my girlfriend just laugh out loud for minutes. I'll give you another just top of the mind of example where he's talked about Leroy. Yeah, I'm not afraid of no Leroy. I got Leroy, and then you just see him go like scared real quick, and they zoom in on that because they know, right?
I love Leroy. I wish Leroy had better luck.
He's coming back in All-Stars though, is he not? That's just a rumor, or is that confirmed?
Nelson or Leroy?
No, Leroy.
Leroy is supposedly coming back on All-Stars 4. I've seen multiple lists with him on it, so I have a good feeling that from these sources that he will be back.
Yeah. So do you guys understand the reason why I'm rooting for Nelly T now? It was based off that. I mean, even in this last challenge, and because it doesn't look like you're agreeing with me, Drew, and that's fine. But even in this last challenge when he was in elimination, he just has a little throwaway clip like, man, this girl is heavy, right? And you're just like, it's just funny. And, he's
a great guy. He has a good heart now. I mean, I want to see him try to beef up in other aspects because he has the speed, he has the strength. He needs to work on some of the mental stuff because if he could get the puzzles done in a pretty decent time or be able to like problem solve in a relatively quicker pace, he would be great. I mean, I think he would be a really, really strong competitor. It's just when he got split up with Nerys in Challenge 38, I mean, it was kind of game over for him because Nerys was everything that he couldn't. Like, she could keep up with him. She had the stamina, but she could also do the puzzles and was really, really solid in the mental aspect of the game. If they would have stayed together the whole time, I think that they would have been a really tough duo to take out of the game.
Yeah, he always needs someone with brains on his team, and that's that's kind of lacking with all those challenges on that aspect. And I get that. And he had like the longest losing streak as well, which I think he just broke in Ride or Dies, where he was able to win one challenge, but it was up. What was the number of how many losses he had in a row? And this is why I'm loving him. Like, he's becoming this ultimate underdog, and people like him. Yeah. Obviously, all the cast like him because it's sweet, goofy Nelly T. And trust me, first couple seasons he came in, didn't like him at all. He was super douchey, and I was like, oh, this guy's an idiot. He has no chance. But now he's an idiot and he has no chance, and I love that. I need him to overcome for all us idiots out there. And some of his sound bites have been just the funniest thing that I've seen that was scripted or not scripted. So he's a character, and I wish him a speedy recovery. So that's the guy that I root for.
So let me ask you this, because you're a wrestling guy, Beef. Let me ask you how you feel about The Miz, because I'm not a Miz fan.
Well, I want The Miz to return for All-Stars, and I interviewed The Miz just recently, and I told him this, in fact, and obviously he's hosted reunions, but that's where, I got to know The Miz, and I do like watching professional wrestling. I do enjoy his work there as well, his wife, Maurice. So, I gave him all those compliments. And the great thing about The Miz, and from day one on Real World New York, he came in as this, if you don't recall, he actually was dubbed racist and had a big blowout with Cora or whatever, because he said the N-word with an A, I think, or maybe he said it with a hard R. And this is the 90s, so I guess you could get away with that and not be canceled forever. But he was just 19-year-old kid from Ohio, right? So, he's saying all this. He was completely villainized, and rightfully so, and he was just a dumb douche. All right. But he always obsessed about wrestling, and he would, do this character back on the real world. And, growing up a wrestling fan, you see this guy, he looks undersized, and you're like, there's no way. There's no way. These guy's a fantasy, he can't do this. And then he started really working the independents, doing Tough Enough, and then going to the WWE, and then becoming champion, and then having a tenure of over 15 years, full-time employee for $1 billion corporation. It's nothing to sneeze at. It's not easy to do either. So everything that he's been able to do, he's been this ultimate winner in my mind, where it's just like everybody counts you out every step of the way. present company included. I was just like, I was not betting on the Miz to accomplish anything. And the fact that he's accomplished everything he set out to accomplish, now you can't just be like, there's no way that you can't accomplish anything you put your mind to. So with that said, I do want him back on the challenge because All Stars would be ideal for him to catch up with old friends. Obviously, it's a marquee name for Paramount because he got the crossover appeal of the WWE fan base that he does have, and that's where most people know him from. But I will always remember him from, being on The Good Guys and, being a dope then, but figuring out a puzzle and winning championships. He did win there too. Like, that's the thing with The Miz is if you look back in his entire resume, he's got a lot of W's all along there from the beginning to end, even getting cast on The Real World's a W because that's so difficult. At the time, everybody was trying to be on The Real World.
It's true. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a fan of The Miz. I want him back on All Stars. Who else did you want to be announced on All Stars from the past, Drew? Because you watched all of these and binged them religiously. So you were like seeing names that you're like, there's no way, like you had no recollection of these people at all, but they obviously left a mark with you. So who do you want to see back?
So the first two names instantly that pops into my mind that I've always wanted to see come back, that I will always hold out hope, even though it's very slim pickings. Actually three names. But the first name for the guys is Landon. I mean, Landon is incredible. Back in the day, I think people don't really realize how great of a champion he was and how well he did. I mean, he only did 4 seasons, but he won 3 of those seasons.
Yeah,
he has an incredible winning record. He would have won Duel 2 if Brad didn't pull out that incredible elimination win right before the finals. I mean, Landon was just a beast, and he was able to adapt his game in a way that he used to play with no alliances, and then Fresh Me Too, he decided he was going to play alliances, and he played both sides perfectly. I mean, if he did more seasons, he would have been the all-time. I think he would have led the wins at that point. I think he would have been absolutely incredible.
I think to tag on to your Landon comment, he also brought the best out of his partners, and Fresh Meat too is a prime example because his partner there, and I forgot her name, she was in no position to win or do anything physical. He was able to comfortably, or in a comforting way, encourage her and motivate her to do things that she didn't think her body could do and climb up that mountain and get the championship with Landon. And that's 100% because of the coach. So yes, Landon would be an excellent addition to return back to the challenge. Back to Evelyn.
So even just piggybacking off of that, in Fresh Meat 2, I mean, the pair that was winning the most was Kenny and Laurel, which looking back is like a power pack duo for what Laurel was able to accomplish. That was her first season, but she's been able to have an incredible career after that. I mean, they were winning so many dailies that season, and then to go into a finals against Landon and Carly, and Landon and Carly were able to pull off the upset. I mean, that was really, really impressive. Evelyn is always going to be somebody that I want to see come back. She's tied with the most wins by a woman on the challenge. She was looked at as like a person that could take out dudes, and who did take out dudes in the island. She was absolutely a beast. I know she's doing her own thing, being a lawyer and getting into politics, but I would just be tickled pink if she were to ever decide to come back, or even just acknowledge that, yes, I got the call, but I don't want to do it. And then the last person would be Coral, who we were just talking about with the Miz. It would be incredible if we could get the Miz and Coral like on the same All-Star season. I mean, please, I'd do anything for that.
That relationship between the two of them, that dynamic, and of course the drama and the backbone that Coral brings, that would be an excellent duo. In fact, actually, if they return to Battle of the Seasons but go old school with All Stars, because the challenge is all about switching up their themes, and then they have several different series within the series. So Battle of the Seasons, Miz and Coral coming back just to do All Stars against some of the other old school heads would be amazing. It really would. Yeah. And that drama would come out in full force. All right, we're going to wrap things up here on the FM side. We'll keep the conversation moving and wrap things up with Drew on the podcast broadcast stream as well. Thank you guys for listening. As always, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Drive safe, ride safe, and rock local. Later. All right, that's clear on the FM side. And we got about 5 minutes. So to wrap things up, so I agree with all those. Core would be great. Hold on, somebody's calling. Let's see what phone call is. Rock 1 2.1. Who's this?
Yes. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Real quick, what are you calling for? In a polite way.
I was actually calling to see if you guys are giving out tickets for Pop Evil.
No, we're not giving out tickets to Pop Evil. Tickets are available at the door tonight at the Rialto Theater.
All right. Cool. Awesome.
No worries. All right, so
let me just say something to ask Drew a quick question. So my favorite season and the one that I actually want to go back and watch again and again is The Island because it was so effing extreme.
That was the worst season. And every single cast member thought it was the worst season.
No. And that's the thing because it put them through it was really, really hard. You know what I mean? They weren't in some luxury accommodation like fighting over the best bunk bed. I just thought that was the one that just really showed like who you were at your core.
That was like
you know
Survivor.
I mean? It was, but I dug it. I thought it was so interesting and refreshing. Drew, did you like that season?
No, I did not like that season.
Drew, like the rest of the internet and the world, no, did not like it. That's why they only did one, but that's cool. You're a hipster. All right. So before we get into what our favorite season is, again, we're going to continue. Who do you want back on All Stars, Herb? Who would you love to see back?
I don't, I got to be honest with you. I want Cara Maria to come back without Polly. Without Polly.
Well, that's going to happen in All Stars, right?
Is it?
They announced that Cara Maria and Laurel, or at least some of the dirt sheets are saying Cara Maria and Laurel will be in All Stars, no Polly, which I found interesting and also perfect because Polly just ended up getting really weird. The last reunion where he's dressed like Prince and he had that pompadour or whatever the case was like, what?
Yeah, I understand that like that's what she needed, but I'm just like, I don't like that guy. I never liked that guy.
She didn't need it. She's still like craving Kyle or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're just like gossiping, like locker room talk. So you want Cara Maria? Anyone else?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the roster. I mean, it's just, there's so many faces that I'd love to see again. You know what I mean? I want to see people that I haven't seen before. That's what I sort of want to do.
I'm going to say Abram. I would like Abram back in a major way. I think he was fantastic. And even though he started getting like super righteous and, towards the end of his run, he was always like a nutcase and he was always super competitive and always was strong with his rivalries on everybody. Were you a fan of Abram or no, Drew?
Not so much, but I also wasn't like, again, I didn't grow up in the realm of when Abram was out and he was like at his prime and stuff. But he wasn't like the person that I was like gravitated towards back in those days.
Yeah. That's good. And well, it was Abram was the guy and then the girl. Well, there's lots that I crush on and I do like Amanda. Amanda's crazy in a way that, I hope that she continues to return, and there's something about her. She's Spitfire, and then for me, like I said, she just is my type. So I crush on Amanda hard. Someone who's also crazy and crazier behind the scenes, but was reality television gold and an excellent competitor is Camilla. And the Camillinator, and I know why she got banned, and I understand the reason why they will never have her back. And I'm sure you heard the stories of what happened there, and maybe I even heard it from you, but she still had a hell of a run and very impressive win-loss record, and she's a multiple time champion. What would you think about Camilla coming back for an All-Stars?
No, thank you.
Not a fan of Camilla either.
Not a fan of Camilla. Never been a fan of Camilla, and I'm also not. I then add in all the stuff from the Dirty 30, and then the Nutella stuff that happened in Battle of the Exes. I'm totally.
What was the Nutella
totally
stuff
down
that
with.
happened?
She did blackface on Battle of the Exes.
Yeah. I want to say for the record that I'm not a fan of garbage people and their actions. This was just for the entertainment side of that. But I realize, and in hindsight, the past hour talking with you, I'm like, how about this rapist? How about this racist? That's not me. I don't condone. I'm not a fan of any of that shit. I would hope that people would learn their lessons and be better people in general. And I'm sorry if we left you with that impression, because that is not it. And even with Abram, you're like, well, Abram's a piece of shit too. I know that. It's like, God damn it. Why are these people so good on TV? And why am I saying that like all the pieces of shit? Who's good? Who's good?
How about Emily? Emily was a good one.
Yeah, give me Emily back. Give me Paula
Emily
back. Is Paula okay?
Yeah, Paula's cool. I mean, but this is the thing. Like, I was never a huge Camilla fan. I'll be real, in Battle of the X's, just looking at her from a game point standpoint, I don't know what I just said there, but I was really rooting for CT and DM to win. I wanted them to get their first championship together. I was like so full, like I was yelling at my TV screen watching this season that had already happened like years prior, yelling for them to send in Camilla and Johnny, and then they send in Paula and Dunbar. And I was like, I know why you're doing it, but that was the wrong move. Don't ever do that. Like, and it came back to bite him in the butt. I mean, it was like, so it stems from the drama that she brought that I was not a huge fan of, but then also like everybody I was rooting for, she was always on the opposite side of who I was rooting for. So it just boiled down to that, but it also, the other stuff just really played a huge factor.
Dunbar.
Yes, Dunbar, and he ruined it. And I actually saw the Playboy TV thing that he was in inadvertently, where I was like, oh, this is why he got fired. But but it's the reason being her always on the opposite end, the lightning rod, to have someone that's always going to kind of like spark the flame and get the dynamite and the fireworks going is good for television purposes. That's my only my only defense for Camilla. No other defense. All the other
you need
stuff.
that villain. You need that villain to really spark up to where you want to push somebody. I mean, we talked about Fessy earlier. Herb just brought up Paulie. Those people are not fun to watch, but it's because they're not fun to watch, and you have this visceral reaction against them, seeing them just on their screen talking about themselves or how good they are when they haven't done jack squat in the in the show. It's like, that's what makes good TV. When people like roll their eyes to seeing Fessy, it's like, that's what they want. I went to marketing school, and business school said an ad needs to either have some feeling. You don't want to watch an ad and it be completely tuned out in the background. You want to either like the ad whenever it comes up, or you hate the ad. I mean, that's what the business wants you to do, because then oh, I hate that whatever that ad, because you can keep it in. I turn this off. I can't stand this whatever ad. So it's what they want. So it's
arrangement is engagement for sure.
Yeah. Even though I don't want to see really, I mean, I shouldn't say this because I'm doing a documentary and I on them, but I really don't want to see Paulie back ever.
That's fair. That's 100% fair. And Paulie could end up being a Royal D in real life too, but on screen, he is the ultimate villain for sure, and very unlikable, which is an excellent trait to have on reality television. Well, we're gonna have to wrap things up. I had a really good time catching up with you, going down the rabbit hole with you, Drew. The massive fan of your channel, and I suggest anybody who might even come across this clip to go ahead and subscribe. The evolution of Cara Maria Part 3 should be coming out soon, so another reason to subscribe. And putting the pressure on Drew right now to be like, I'm sure that's coming out real soon. Huh?
It actually is, because I've been editing it all this week, and I'm on the last stages of it. I'm actually putting the music to it this morning, and that's the last thing I do, and then I'm putting it up, and it's going to be out Monday. So I'm very excited for it.
I appreciate you pausing just for us to geek out with you for an hour. Now get back to work. Before we leave you, here's my final question to both you guys concerning the global challenge. If you were going to make a prediction, who's going to win it all? What team is going to do so based off how they're performing the game right now? I'll start off with Herb.
Oh, man. I don't know. I've been very unimpressed by Bananas so far, I got to say. I feel like he's not. I feel like he's sort of just phoning it in this year. So I don't think it's going to be him. I feel like Tori's coming in strong, coming off her win. I feel like maybe that's the team to look for.
And Danny and Tori.
Yep,
okay.
Tori.
What do you say, Drew?
This is tough looking at this after this past week's episode, because the two winning teams just got eliminated back to back on each other. So everybody else who's left in there either hasn't won, or it doesn't seem like if they don't win, they're going to not be just thrown in next week or the coming week. So it's going to be really, really tough. At this point, it's really hard not to say a U.S. team has a better shot of making it far and into the finals, even though they seem to be fractured. I think the top 2 U.S. teams, I think, have my vote right now of most likely winning with Sarah and Theo and Danny and Tori. It's just, I don't see anybody wanting to send them in. As long as they don't get last place, I don't think they're going to get voted in. And it's going to be really tough to like get them out. And if they make it to a finals, it's going to be really tough to beat them. So, I mean, that's where that's the safety vote in my opinion right now. But
it is a safe vote. Yeah, and I would say that the odds-on favorite would be Danny and Tori, based off of Danny's athleticism and his backbone. Tori's also very good in her politicking. She still has a safety net with Jordan. Before they're going to eliminate him. It's not going to be the other way around, right? So I do think they're a favorite, but the one I want to win this season is Kiki and Darrell. I want Darrell to get another win. It's been a long time. I know it's because he plays the game too safe at times, is the reason why it's his downfall. But you can't underestimate Kiki, man. And she showed that in Australia and being able to win the challenge, which I didn't see coming. You know, you just see the fillers and everything else, and that she's just going to be high maintenance. But she's also, I think, part like native Australian, right? Or what, something like that. So there's a warrior spirit in her, like a fight that you don't want to get on the wrong side of this chick. And if it was a fight to the death, you're dying, because Kiki is like, she has that warrior blood. And I don't even think she knew it really or recognized it. But when she's in these challenges and she's in these finals and it's time to turn off the brain and just go, she's going.
She goes.
Yeah. And then Darrell, you know, he's put in the work a long time. And I would love to see that guy win the whole thing again and continue his bragging rights of being one of the greatest who ever played. So
best case scenario, in my opinion. I mean, honestly, I think he does need another win because it's been so long that a lot of the more recent fans of the show are kind of like, I think, really discrediting him and really underrating him. But this game is kind of like sports, as we were talking about, and how the challenge wants it. I mean, it's difficult where it's like what have you done recently kind of vibe with the audience, and it's sad that he hasn't really won since Fresh Meat, which was season 12, and we're on season 38 going into season 39, and he's done quite a few seasons. But
yeah,
no doubt,
you can't brag.
I think it would be great.
Yeah. Like Darrell can't brag, but like how great he is because he hasn't done anything in 20 years. Right? He won a bunch of times when it was easy, but it's not for lack of effort or conditioning. So I think it was 100% by playing it too safe in its politics. And I hope this year him taking a stab at Ben and Casey was a step in the right direction in a way. It wasn't the best pick, but it was kind of shots fired and not the safest call. And hopefully that just leads to other things. So here's the channel again, Angel Cake Vids. So youtube.com/Angel Cake Vids. Drew has been our guest. Subscribe and enjoy all these fantastic videos if you're a fan of the challenge. I think they go together like peanut butter and jelly, and you can't have one without the other, personally. So Drew, thank you so much for spending so much time and geeking out with these two guys, because we love ourselves a challenge, man.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun, and I love talking about the challenge. And sorry if I rambled too much at certain points, but it's something that I'm very passionate about and obsessive about. As you just saw, my channel have 800 videos and counting. I just added one today and gonna add more on Monday.
Well, you know, your consistency, your work ethic is inspiring. So I do appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll catch up again maybe towards the end of the season, as we'll see how well our predictions are working out and, you know, talk about all-stars and everything else. So it's not the last time, just the first time.
Awesome. Can't wait.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching, guys.